Chapter 194. This kind of feeling made Li Fan somewhat addicted. There was still a distance from the school, so he could continue playing for a while. Li Fan was preparing to continue running on the roofs and walls, but at this moment, a figure dressed in black suddenly appeared on the building next to him. This was a black tight suit, which accentuated the beautiful figure of a girl. Her figure was definitely hot enough, and the leather suit accentuated her curves incisively and vividly. Her long legs and small buttocks basically made men unable to move their eyes away. However, Li Fan felt that this girl might be a bit of a chinibya, because not only did she use a cat mask to cover her face, but she also combed her short hair neatly on top of her head and wore a cat ear headband. Not only that, behind her but was dragging a cat tail, swaying along with her running. Fuck, how much does she like cats? And as she ran, the bell necklace on her neck would also make a light jingling sound, as if a kitten had arrived. Although there was the sound of the bell, every time her feet landed, there was no sound at all. If not for seeing her graceful figure, he would really think that she was a small wild cat. And the other party had clearly noticed him. This cat girl swayed her tail, and her eyes narrowed into a crescent moon, looking at him. She suddenly raised a middle finger at him, and then jumped towards the opposite building. The opposite building was more than 20 meters away from here. This building had 7 floors, and the opposite building had 15 to 16 floors. However, this was not a problem for the cat girl. Her body continuously spun a few rounds in the air, her tail constantly swaying, and in a parabola, she landed on the opposite 3rd floor. But her qigong was indeed heaven-defying. After falling such a distance, she easily grabbed the window on the 3rd floor, and then using both her hands and feet, she easily climbed to the 15th floor. This woman's qigong talent was definitely maxed out, and she actually expressed ridicule to him. I can't lose to a chinibya. Li Fan clenched his fists, and his body was almost stuck to the eaves of the building. Toad strike times spirit toad soars. Li Fan's hands and feet were like cannons, bursting out with powerful true qi, pushing Li Fan's body into the air. The edge of the floor was shaken by the true qi fluctuations, some cracks appeared on it, and some small gravel fell down. Meanwhile, Li Fan's body shot out like a cannonball. In the blink of an eye, he shot over 10 meters into the air. This leap shocked the cat girl who had already climbed to the roof of the opposite building. However, this was not the end. Li Fan, who was in mid-air, spun his body once again. Then, his legs faced downwards and suddenly bounced, as though he was about to leap into the sky. Deer strike art, divine deer ascends to heaven. Li Fan's left foot stepped on empty air, while his right foot stepped on true energy ripples. In Pang Niang's eyes, the man's figure was like a divine deer ascending to the heavens, soaring into the clouds. This man's qigong was out of the ordinary. Even a qigong expert like him could not help but be surprised. Li Fan jumped at least 15 meters high. This was a total of 25 meters, a full jump of 8 floors. At the same time, Li Fan's body turned freely in the air, then he spread his body and once again stepped on the air. Black toad crossing water. Like a cannonball, Li Fan quickly bounced towards the roof of the opposite building in a straight line direction. Li Fan's distance was already very high. Although he would still fall when he was in the air, the distance of 20 meters was quickly crossed and he successfully landed on the top of the building on the ground. After landing, Li Fan did not forget to give a thumbs up to the dumbfounded cat girl. Then, he turned his thumb and pointed to the ground. Hang. Insignificant skill. Pang Niang was somewhat angry. She turned around, shook her butt and jumped towards the other roof. Li Fan was not willing to fall behind. He also had a competitive heart. If he was defeated by a mere chinibya, where would he put his face in the future? Murong Ying would laugh at him to death. For his own dignity, he must win this time. Li Fan took his light steps and chased after Pang Niang. The two of them were like parkour, jumping here and there on the roofs, chasing each other. Li Fan could not help but admire that woman's qigong was indeed good. This forest of tall buildings was like a forest that belonged to her, allowing her to run freely without any obstacles. If it was not for him being reborn and breaking through the limits of his body, he might not be able to catch up to her. Such a woman, where did she come from? Her qigong talent was completely maxed out. She could be considered as the person with the best qinggong that Li Fan had ever seen. Even Murong Ying did not have such a beautiful qinggong. Li Fan was a little curious about the identity of the other party. To have such a high level of qinggong, who was it? In the pugilistic world, she should be a number one figure. Sometimes, the pugilistic world felt big, but sometimes it felt especially small. Although Li Fan had amazed Pang Niang with his 2 leaps, when it came to qinggong, Pang Niang was still better. After a few minutes, Li Fan was already out of sight. Seeing that there was not much time left, he could not fool around anymore. Thus, he leaped up and dashed towards the direction of the school. When Li Fan arrived at the school, he saw the concerned gazes of his classmates, and his heart was a little anxious. Li Fan, does your anus still hurt? His deskmate, Bai Lin Luo, sincerely asked Li Fan. Li Fan was quite speechless, and only glared at little Four. You're the one who asked for leave, saying that your hemorrhoids broke out. Bai Lin Luo emphasized, I heard that yellow, white, red, it's everywhere. I'm just worried about you. Can you do the horse stance every day? Will your hemorrhoids split open again? Why don't you just sit down, and I'll let you have my butt pad. It's ergonomically good for the butt. Get lost. Li Fan almost broke down. What the hell was this? Murong Ying too, couldn't she come up with a reasonable reason? Why did she have to come up with some hemorrhoid explosion? What the fuck? Chang Chuanxi looked at Li Fan, gloating. Li Fan, if your butt is uncomfortable, go to the infirmary and lie down. I'm fine, thank you for your concern, Teacher Chang. Li Fan was very depressed, but he could not refute. After all, this was the reason he asked for leave for a few days. If he refuted, wouldn't he be exposed? Li Fan, it's understandable that young people are hot-tempered. But for the sake of your future, you'd better change your temper and listen to what the teacher says. Chang Chuanxi would not let go of this opportunity, and continued to ridicule Li Fan. The teacher and the school are doing this for your own good, don't have too much resistance. Oh yeah, you haven't been to school these few days, can you keep up with the progress? The final exam is not far away. If you can't pass, I'll have to send you to another school. I can't bear to leave you. Chapter 195. Chang Chuanxi's pretentious act was even better than his singing. He couldn't bear to part with her. He couldn't bear to part with her. In this school, there were a few people who couldn't wait for him to get out. This Chang Chuanxi was definitely one of them. If he wasn't taught a lesson for a day, he would feel like he could go to heaven. In short, you better pray for your own good fortune. This exam is very important, everyone must pay attention. You will be entering grade 12 soon, and everyone will be sprinting. Thousands of soldiers and horses are fighting for this single plank bridge. If you can't cross it, then your future days will be tough. Teacher Chang, I think that even if the college entrance exam doesn't go smoothly, we shouldn't put so much pressure on everyone. Li Fan immediately straightened his back and said, although thousands of soldiers and horses are fighting for the single plank bridge, but even if we can't cross it, there are still many other paths that we can take. Why does the school always like to force everyone into a corner? If we can't pass the college entrance exam, then we won't be able to live anymore. Li Fan, watch your words. What you're saying now sounds more like a reactionary statement. Chang Chuanxi looked at Li Fan unhappily. After not seeing him for 3 days, he felt much more refreshed and felt that the air in the school was much cleaner. Now that he was here, the school was filthy again, and he even wanted to use fallacies to confuse people and disturb them. Since the college entrance exam was reinstated, this is the only way for all of us to change our destiny. Among everyone here, how many of you are second-generation rich, and how many of you are from a government family? Many of you are from ordinary poor families. If you want to change your destiny, the college entrance exam is the only way. The college entrance exam is just a way. I'm not against everyone going to university. Li Fan emphasized his own words, university can broaden our horizons and increase our experience. But we shouldn't fight to the death for this so-called college entrance exam. Look at Deng Siwei, she has been tortured by this college entrance exam to the point of being psychopathic. Who's psychopathic? Deng Siwei didn't expect to be implicated even though she was lying down, but the surrounding students all nodded and agreed with Li Fan's words. Li Fan, don't slander your own classmates. Chang Chuanxi scolded, if you don't like the college entrance examination, then drop out. Don't affect other students who are wholeheartedly preparing for the college entrance examination. You don't have money or power, yet you still dream of changing your own fate. What a joke. Raising a student like you is really a failure of education. Teacher Chang, I'm afraid I don't agree with you on this point. Li Fan chuckled. I think it's a failure of education to produce an abnormal top student like Deng Siwei. Deng Siwei almost fainted from anger, but she didn't dare to provoke Li Fan. Enough. If you don't want to listen, then get out. You have no right to speak here. I'm the teacher. Chang Chuanxi was infuriated by Li Fan. This scumbag student must be kicked out of the school. That's all I have to say. Everyone, focus on the lesson. Don't make a fuss. Li Fan gestured to his left and right before resuming his horse stance as if nothing had happened. Chang Chuanxi slammed the door and left. Little Four Eyes couldn't help but push up his spectacles as he asked Li Fan, "Why are you trying to provoke Chang Chuanxi today?" "Just now, my legs were a little sore from the horse stance, so I stood up and moved a little." Li Fan casually said, "You'll deepen the hatred between you and him. The hatred between us isn't just a day or two. What's there to be afraid of?" Li Fan said without fear, "Since everyone doesn't dare to fight against power, then let me do it. I don't believe that in such a big school, there's no one who is willing to make decisions for the students. How can we let a person like Chang Chuanxi act like a tyrant above our heads every day? No, I have to persuade you. As your good brother, your military advisor, even if you're angry, there are some words that I have to say to you." Bai Linluo was about to start his teaching mode again, but at this moment, Liao Wushuang pushed the door open and entered. Bai Linluo's eyes immediately lit up as he turned his head and focused on this beautiful teacher. "Don't you have something to say to me? Say it." Li Fan nudged Bai Linluo, but was ignored by Bai Linluo. "Little Four Eyes. Don't mess around, we're in English class." Fuck your uncle." Li Fan was very helpless. This Little Four Eyes only has eyes for Liao Wushuang. Speaking of Liao Wushuang, although she is a bit beautiful and has a big chest, what kind of magic does she have to make Bai Linluo so infatuated with her? While Li Fan and the others were enjoying the beautiful teacher's class, on the other side, Principal Hua Zhangyi, with his Mediterranean hairstyle, was confidently patting his chest to the board of directors. "Ladies and gentlemen of the board of directors, you can rest assured. I, Hua Zhangyi, have been teaching for more than 40 years and have rich teaching experience. Moreover, I have summarized a new model that is absolutely suitable for our private number 2 middle school. It can double the enrollment rate of our number 2 middle school." Murong Ying and the rest of the board of directors were sitting in front of Principal Hua Zhangyi, listening to his speech. Today is the day of the reorganization, and if more than half of the board of directors voted for Hua Zhangyi, then he can be the next principal. Therefore, how to gain the favor of these directors was what Hua Zhangyi had been thinking about day and night, and he had spent a lot of time researching. At least 4 of the board of directors had received his gifts. As for the remaining 5, as long as he can satisfy 2 of them, he will be the winner. And what makes these board of directors happy is making money. How can number 2 middle school make money? Other than collecting tuition and miscellaneous fees, they must continue to increase the enrollment rate. When the enrollment rate increases, the students' parents will spend their hard-earned money on the school to exchange for the opportunity for their students to enter number 2 middle school. In short, the enrollment rate was the foundation of number 2 high school. It is also the magic weapon for him to get promoted. Old Hua, what do you think? Tell me. An old board of directors who had received Hua Zhangyi's gift smiled at him and encouraged him to continue. Hua Zhangyi immediately became confident and spoke frankly with assurance. Education, this is what we in China have been emphasizing for the past 5,000 years. From the time Mencius' mother moved 3 times, Confucius reopened the school, all the way until the college entrance examination was reinstated in the 70s. So many years have passed, and our ancient people have passed on countless valuable educational experiences to us. Especially the college entrance examination strategy in recent years, It made us understand that scores are the key to the student's success. And how to increase the student's scores is the problem that I have been thinking about for so many years. In these 2 years, I finally figured it out and started to conduct some experiments. I have indeed made some progress. What method? Pressure method. Hua Zhengyi waved his hand and said in high spirits, "There is a move in the ancient art of war, fight with your back to the river, and it is the same for the students now. The college entrance examination is like a battlefield. It is a tough battle." Chapter 196. Those soldiers on the battlefield always have the military police following behind them. Why? It's to give the soldiers pressure so that they can charge bravely and kill the enemy. Hua Zhengyi waved his hands and spoke incisively, spittle flying everywhere. Look at our students now, what have they become? Lax, lazy, and unmotivated. What we need to give them is pressure. Kids nowadays eat well, wear well, and have good genes. Their conditions are so much better than ours and they have so much potential for improvement. As long as we can give them more pressure and more supervision, they will be able to improve their result. This way, their results will improve, and the enrollment rate of our second high will naturally not be a problem. With my many years of teaching experience, I believe that as long as I officially start using this pressure method, I can guarantee that everyone's results will improve by 10% or even 20%. Hua Zhengyi's words caused the directors to start discussing and whispering to each other. Hua Zhengyi saw that they seemed to have loosened up and continued, "Kids nowadays are living too comfortably. The school, parents, and even the public are too lenient towards them. Only by giving them the strictest education and the greatest pressure, will they be able to break through their own limit. This is my experience as a teacher for more than 40 years, and it is also my passion for children's education. I love these children, and I hope that they can do better and get into their ideal universities. Your passion has moved me." The old director who had encouraged him previously wiped the tears under his spectacles. "I believe in your love for the children. I used to be a teacher, and I can understand you. Old Hua, do your best. I will always support you. I also support you. Yes, I also support you." Old Hua is a good principal. He has helped our school's enrollment rate increase by a lot. Without waiting for the vote, the directors had already started praising Hua Zhengyi, as if they had already decided Hua Zhengyi's fate. "Director Murong, why don't you state your opinion?" The old director's gaze fell on the youngest director, Murong Ying. Although she was a new director, she held the majority of the shares in the private second high. He still had to listen to her opinion. "Me? Does my opinion still matter?" Murong Ying sneered. 8 of the 9 directors were praising him. What was the use of her vote alone? "Aya, how can you say that? We're all doing this for the school, and we're all colleagues and friends. If there's anything you want to say, just say it. Don't hide it." The old director spoke in a bureaucratic tone. Murong Ying snorted. "All right, since you want to hear it, then my opinion is to disagree." Murong Ying said straightforwardly, "What pressure technique? Bullshit. To a school, every student was the school's most valuable asset. We should understand them and care about them, not think about how to exploit them and make more money from them." "Director Murong, you're wrong. We're doing this for the good of the school. How can we exploit the students?" That's right. The little girl's words are really unpleasant. "We're just trying to help our students get into a better university." "Director Murong, what kind of person do you think we are? That's too much." The directors started to complain about Murong Ying. Murong Ying shrugged her shoulders. "You're the ones who forced me to say it. Now that I've said it, you're not happy. You're all so tired of living. Miss Murong, you're the director. I shouldn't refute you." Hua Zhengyi finally found an opportunity. Offending one director was better than offending 9. Since she had already offended the other 9, it was equivalent to paving the way for herself. This was like a game of Go. An expert was not only good at using his own chess pieces to set up the game, but he was also good at using the other party's chess pieces to set up the game. Education is a profound field of study. You're still young, so you don't understand. Education nowadays is like this. Grades and college entrance examinations are everything to students. You said that we exploit the students. That's a big mistake. We're doing this for the good of the students. We want them to have a stronger foundation to face the challenges in the future. You said that we're bullshit, but this isn't decided by us. It's decided by the higher-ups. It's the entire Chinese education system. You have eyes and ears everywhere. Why don't you look for the higher-ups, the Education Bureau, and even the leaders of the Ministry of Culture? Tell them to reform the current college entrance examination system. As long as you can reform the college entrance examination system, I, Hua Zhangyi, guarantee that everything will be done according to your wishes. Principal Hua, your eloquence is not bad. Murong Ying was not angry. Instead, she smiled. In order to convince us, you must have practiced for a long time. If you had used all the effort you put into thinking about the students, how great would it be? Your son wouldn't have been beaten up and hospitalized. Hua Zhangyi was almost angered to death. Murong Ying hurriedly slapped her forehead and said, "Look at my memory. I'm sorry, Principal Hua, I forgot that your son wasn't beaten up by others. He ran into a telephone pole when he went out. Principal Hua, we should all work together. You can't just focus on the school's education. You must also strengthen your son's sense of direction." Thank you for Director Murong's concern. This Hua Zhangyi gritted his teeth so hard that they almost broke. What a good Murong Ying. Not only was she beautiful, her mouth was also fierce. He had really underestimated her. However, she couldn't overturn the heavens alone. The person who would have the last laugh would still be him. Second High's principal, Hua Zhangyi. All right, we've heard all the opinions. Everyone, let's vote by raising our hands. Old Dong raised his hand first. Those who agree with Hua Zhangyi's reappointment as principal, please raise your hand. I'll take a stand first. I agree. I also don't object. The other directors also raised their hands. When everyone's gaze fell on Murong Ying, they didn't expect that Murong Ying would also raise her right hand. Director Murong, didn't you object to Hua Zhangyi's reappointment? Why did you raise your hand? Could it be that what you said before was all nonsense? The old director couldn't help but ask. His voice carried a hint of sarcasm. No. I didn't mean it that way. Murong Ying smiled slightly. I'm just curious to know what this Hua Zhangyi will do to Second High after being reappointed as principal. TSK. Youngsters are really hot-tempered. That's right. He's too impulsive. Old Hua is a good person. Don't target him. The directors criticized and educated Murong Ying. Murong Ying pretended not to hear them. The old director had already started shaking hands with Hua Zhangyi. Old Hua, the future of Second High will depend on you. Chapter 197. Hua Zhangyi's re-election and the implementation of the Stressful Learning Act was the biggest news in the school. The entire Stressful Learning Act was very strict and included a series of requirements. One of them was that male and female students were not allowed to have any intimate behavior in school, including holding hands or even walking side by side. There was also a ban on students sleeping in class. Every time they slept, 10 points would be deducted. Every student had a total of 100 points. If all of them were deducted, the student would be expelled. In Hua Zhangyi's words, the students nowadays were too lax. They had long passed the age of 9 years of compulsory education. If they allowed the students to be so unscrupulous, it would be an unprecedented failure of education. Therefore, the current number 2 high school was basically in a state of danger. Hua Zhangyi even specially set up a so-called discipline committee and made Chang Chuanxi the chairman of the committee. He recruited many outstanding students into the committee and made them officers. Deng Siwei was one of them. She had the right to deduct the other students' disciplinary point. Li Fan felt that Deng Siwei was looking at him differently now. It was like a hunter staring at its prey, waiting to kill Li Fan at any moment. This was one of the high-pressure systems. The other system was even more cruel. The school would conduct a mock exam every week. The mock exam would rank the students for the whole year. The last 10 students in each exam would be expelled from the school. This series of systems was really too scary. It made all the students complain incessantly. However, the parents clapped and cheered. Most of the parents thought that the students who were lagging behind were dragging down their children's grades. Only by getting rid of them could the school be restored to a clean learning environment. The latest mock exam was on the weekend. Li Fan had already missed a few classes. He felt that his progress was a bit slow. "You should come to my house after school." It was rare for Lin Yuhin and Li Fan to go home from school together. She sat on the back seat of Li Fan's bicycle and naturally grabbed his waist. She said to him, "No matter what, you are my temporary boyfriend. I can't just watch you get expelled from the school. It's just a 3-day course." Li Fan laughed. "It's not like I'm a bad student. I won't be expelled. Your results aren't good, so you're getting arrogant first." Lin Yuhin rolled her eyes. "If you were as smart as I am, I wouldn't have refuted you. Most importantly, you're not that smart, so why are you pretending to be smart? You're looking down on me too much. My progress is obvious to all. I'm not looking down on you, I'm encouraging you. Comrade Li," Lin Yuhin said with a straight face. "You can't be arrogant just because of a small achievement. An arrogant army is bound to lose. Don't you understand this?" "Yes, yes, yes. Teacher Lin is right. You are the guiding light of my life. Then help me with math and geography. I can still keep up with politics and history. What about English? Aren't you going to review your English? I remember that your English isn't a strong point." Lin Yuhin ridiculed. But Li Fan said, "Because teacher Liao said she would help me with my English. I see that her English is very good, so it shouldn't be a problem for her to help me." "Humph." Lin Yuhin suddenly snorted. "What's wrong with you?" Li Fan heard that this girl seemed to be a little unhappy. Everything was fine. What was the matter with her suddenly? "Isn't teacher Liao very beautiful?" Lin Yuhin asked. "She's not bad. She's a beauty." Li Fan honestly said, "A lot of boys in the class like her. Even my deskmate, Bai Lin Luo, is crazy about her. I heard that her chest is very big." Lin Yuhin asked again. This time, Li Fan began to be suspicious. "Why did you suddenly ask about this? Are you curious about a woman's chest?" "Humph, I heard that it's very big. Aren't all men mammals? I'm afraid when you see someone's chest, you won't be able to move your eyes away." "Li Fan, tell me honestly. Do you want to tutor or do you want to drink milk?" "Fuck, teacher Liao and I have a normal teacher-student relationship. This little girl, what are you thinking in your head? How could it be filled with such impure things? As an old revolutionary comrade, I want to criticize you." "Humph, criticize your sister." Lin Yuhin was very unhappy. It's enough to have an opponent like Murong Ying, but now there's a big-breasted beautiful teacher. Why didn't she tutor other people but tutor Li Fan? This teacher definitely doesn't have any good intentions towards you. You're not allowed to tutor her. It's just English. I'll teach you. You think too badly of her. She just wants to improve my English score. Li Fan doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. Besides, she's a teacher. What could she want from a student? She wants to open a tutoring class. She wants to use me as a model. If she can improve my English, it'll be equivalent to giving her a publicity. Your brain is too naive. Lin Yuhin doesn't believe Li Fan's nonsense. Rather than believe you men's words, you might as well believe that there are ghosts in this world. What admiring other people's English? I think it's better to admire other people's impressive chess. You might be a bit sick. You should take your medicine. Li Fan is very speechless. Did Lin Yuhin eat gunpowder today? You get off, I'll ride back myself. Lin Yuhin suddenly said coldly. Are you crazy? I'm not crazy. Also, you think of your own mathematics and geography. I don't want to tutor you. Go look for your cow teacher, Lin Yuhin says as she chases Li Fan off the bicycle and pedals home. This woman might have some mental problems. Li Fan is very puzzled. She should take a look at herself. TSK, brother Li, you're clearly unromantic. At this moment, a ridiculing voice suddenly comes from the street lamp. Li Fan, as if facing a formidable enemy, immediately turns his body upside down and fills his whole body with true qi. A figure wearing a white suit is standing on top of the street lamp. Arms crossed, looking down at him with a smile on his face. How could it be you, this pervert? Li Fan frowns and asks. I have a name. My surname is Yang Kai. Yang Kai is unhappy and rolls his eyes. Brother Li, next time don't call me by the wrong name. I know your name, but the word pervert is more suitable for you. Although the two of them speak with ridicule, Li Fan doesn't lower his vigilance. He stares at Yang Kai, afraid that he will make any sneak attack. Chapter 198. Brother Li is being a bit too careful. Yang Kai looked at Li Fan's cautious appearance and could not help but laugh. Yang, have already left the genie guard, what are you worried about? That place is a place where you can enter and leave as you wish. Li Fan was a bit skeptical. Are you kidding me? Of course it's not that easy to leave, but if I want to leave, no one can stop me. You don't say, I really heard your name. Li Fan looked at Yang Kai, speaking of which, you are actually a disciple of Wudang, it's really hard to believe. What's not to believe? I have always been favored by the heavens. On Wudang Mountain, no one is my opponent, staying here is really boring. Yang Kai sighed, those of the same generation are even more boring, every day they only know how to practice martial arts, no fun at all. And those women on Wudang Mountain, they are like flies, constantly sticking to me, it's so annoying. Fuck, can you not use this kind of method to talk? What do you mean by that? Yang Kai looked at Li Fan puzzledly, it seemed like he did not understand modern otaku culture well enough. It means to be a winner in life. Li Fan clenched his fist. This guy, is he here to show off? Oh, that is indeed suitable to be used on me. Yes, I am a cash-in user. Yang Kai nodded, did not hesitate to use this word, therefore, Wudang Mountain to me, has no meaning. My ambition is to travel everywhere, the world below the mountain is more exciting. Then continue to be exciting, I have to go home. Li Fan was too lazy to pay attention to this Yang Kai, turned around and was about to leave. Hey, Brother Li, why are you in such a hurry? Although there is a big difference in status between us, it can be considered that we have met once. Why not let go of the grudge in your heart? I do not despise you for being inferior to me in all aspects, we can be fair, how about we have a good chat? Fuck off. Li Fan cursed, you call this being fair? Hurry up and go see a doctor, just looking at you makes my balls hurt. My balls hurt. Brother Li, are you talking about GAO pills? Yang Kai pondered for a moment. This should be a symptom of kidney yin deficiency. I happen to know some of Elder Huang's skills. Why don't I take a look for Brother Li? Fuck off. I'll beat you up. Li Fan was so angry that he shook his true qi. The dust around him was blown away by his qi, forming a circular ripple that spread in all directions. It just so happens that my strength has improved recently. I haven't found someone to spar with yet. Ahum, isn't fighting and killing every day a little harmful? For some unknown reason, although Yang Kai was proud of his martial arts, he felt a little guilty when he saw Li Fan. Sigh, if he still had the strength he had back then, why would he be afraid of this young man? Then why did you come to me? Don't tell me you want to play mahjong with me. There's no need to play mahjong. But like I said, I'm going to quit my job in the Brocade Uniform Guard. Yang Kai boasted shamelessly, but this organization's roots are too long. It's hard to get in, and it's not easy to get out. They gave me one last task. As long as I complete it, they will approve my resignation. But this task, although I can complete it by myself, in order to strengthen our friendship, I decided to ask you to be my assistant. Fuck off. Li Fan rolled his eyes. So he was looking for me to help him, but his tone was still so big. Only a ghost would help him. Brother Li, how can you be so tactless? Yang Kai hurriedly said, this is the first time I, Yang Kai, am looking for someone to help me. You should feel happy. Let me ask you, are you a beauty? Of course not. This Taoist is a man. Yang Kai said very seriously. That's right. Then how much money can you give me to help you? This is the friendship between us. How can it be measured with money? Fine, I don't covet beauty and I don't covet money. If I help you, am I crazy or are you crazy? Your words are too hurtful. Yang Kai sighed. No matter what, we are brothers. I am a few years older than you, so I can be said to be your elder brother. Between brothers, do you need to use money and beauty to measure it? You're acting like you're familiar with us. Li Fan snorted. Who is your brother? We have only met once, and we only fought once. As the saying goes, no discord, no concord. Yang Kai immediately said, you and I are pretentious because of the fight. We appreciate each other and take care of each other. Fuck off, who appreciates each other? Don't you have any shame? Don't deny it, a man should be honest. Fuck, I'm honest enough, okay? Get the fuck out of here. I'm annoyed when I see you. On Mount Wudang, some male disciples can't resist my charm and have some strange feelings for me. Yang Kai pointed at his eyes and said softly, Brother Li, although you have been resisting on the surface, my eyes can see through your heart. See your big head. Why don't we just fight? Li Fan stretched out his palms and put them in front of him, making a fighting posture. Sure enough, beating and scolding is love. You want to have the most real communication, right? Yang Kai said and began to pull out his belt. Wait for me, I'll accompany you. Wait a minute. Li Fan hurriedly reached out and stopped Yang Kai's next move. Fuck, can you not do such a wretched action? It feels wrong, okay? I'm just showing my big sword. Fuck, big sword your sister. Li Fan was about to collapse. Was this Yang Kai unintentional or intentional? I'm fucking convinced. Tie your belt back for me. You really don't want it. But my passion has already been ignited. Burning your ass. Hurry up. Or I'll burst your ass into 8 pieces. Yang Kai's face darkened and he frowned. After thinking for a long time, he asked, you really have that kind of hobby? No. Li Fan emphasized loudly. Then why was Brother Li so insensitive to that beauty just now? Fuck, don't mind our business, as if you're a Casanova. Women are too noisy. I, Yang Kai, have said that I will never find a woman to marry in the future. Yang Kai voiced out his inner thoughts. I'd rather find a like-minded man to accompany me hand in hand than spend my life with a woman. Hurry up and leave. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. Li Fan hurriedly waved his hand. He was already mentally and physically exhausted. Brother Li, whether you have a homosexual fetish or not, I won't despise you. But this time, I still hope that you can help me. You don't need to run, I especially drove a luxury car to pick you up. Hee, impossible. Li Fan raised 3 fingers, just these 3 words. Impossible. Chapter 199. Brother Li, although this flying cat's fist technique isn't good, her qigong is pretty good. Yang Kai said to Li Fan as he drove. You have to be more careful. Fuck this tofu. Li Fan's life was at a low ebb. His life was really over. Just now, he swore that he wouldn't help Yang Kai, but Yang Kai said that if he helped him today, he would tell him some insider information about the genie guard. This moved Li Fan. Yang Kai seemed to be prepared for this. He took a set of genie guard clothes and helped Li Fan change into it. He had good taste. The size that he chose was very suitable. After Li Fan put it on, it didn't look out of place at all. Those who didn't know might really think that Li Fan was a genie guard. However, Li Fan didn't expect that this so-called luxury car was actually an electric scooter. This is the luxury car you were talking about. Of course, a luxury electric scooter. It's green, environmentally friendly, and has plenty of horsepower. Yang Kai proudly rode his electric scooter with his head held high. Li Fan didn't have the energy to complain. He could only follow Yang Kai and continue riding. You might as well run with qigong instead of riding an electric scooter. That's a useless shoe. Yang Kai immediately said, and if the wind is too strong, my hair will be messed up. Most importantly, when we find the flying cat, we have to save our true chi to chase her. That woman's qigong is really amazing. Alright. Today's task is to chase after the flying cat, right? Li Fan asked. Yes, we are to catch her. Once we catch her, our task will be over. Yang Kai described, don't look down on this flying cat. Her qigong is the best in the world. Whether or not you and I can catch up to her is another matter. Yo, yo, yo. Yang Kai, you actually admit defeat? Ahem, this isn't admitting defeat. It's just that everyone has their own specialties. Yang Kai explained, although my qigong isn't as good as hers, I am outstanding in other aspect. Anyway, I can't tell, that's because your eyesight is bad. Yang Kai was also a little depressed. He was ridiculed again and again. It was really too unpleasant. I say, Brother Lee, there's no need for us to ridicule each other. We should help each other. We're all brothers. I'm not your brother. Don't shamelessly claim that you're my relative. Li Fan rolled his eyes. If it weren't for the fact that he wanted to uncover the secrets of the genie guards, Li Fan wouldn't have bothered with this Wudang disciple. What the fuck? He's a complete egomaniac. He didn't know what kind of stimulation this person went through when he was young, but his narcissism was unparalleled. He used to think that Liu Xinnan was narcissistic enough. But after meeting Yang Kai, he knew what it meant to pale in comparison. This was nothing. What made Li Fan feel the most unacceptable was that his sexual orientation was not too obvious. Although Yang Kai kept asking if he had a homosexual fetish, as if he was disgusted. But for some reason, when Li Fan got too close to him, he would get goosebumps. This man, it was better to keep a certain distance from him, especially when he was close to him. Li Fan actually smelled the scent of perfume from his body. Damn, Li Fan had always felt some kind of annoyance towards men who liked to wear perfume. Sissy. Moreover, this Yang Kai was too handsome. If he had long hair, people would probably think that he was a woman. Brother Li, can you tell me why you're being hunted by the genie guards? Yang Kai seemed to be the same as a woman, with a terrible heart for gossip. While riding his electric bike, he didn't forget to ask Li Fan for some gossip. Damn, why are you so curious? If I don't ask, my heart will itch. Yang Kai didn't take his driving seriously at all, which made Li Fan uncomfortable. The genie guards are a bunch of lunatics, how can I figure out their thoughts? You're a man, why do you like to ask so many questions? There are indeed few good people in the genie guards, but it's not like there aren't any. For example, I am a 100% normal person. You're normal your ass. Brother Lee, how can your words be so uncivilized? We're all people with good manners, you shouldn't talk like that. Yes, it's my fault, I'll repeat. You're normal my ass. Yang Kai suddenly felt speechless. This Li Fan's mouth seemed to be quite fierce. Alright, Brother Lee, although you don't want to tell me the reason, but in the genie guards, you're already on the blacklist. What's the blacklist? Hearing that Yang Kai finally began to talk about the main topic, Li Fan was a little interested. The blacklist is a bounty list of the genie guards. Yang Kai said, ever since I failed my mission, the person in charge of this area has put your name on the blacklist. For the first time, Yang Kai spoke in a serious tone. This blacklist is not simple, those who are on it are all difficult to deal with. Whoever completes the missions on the blacklist will receive a large amount of money and points. In the genie guards, points are more important than anything else. Because with high points, you can be promoted to nobility. Brother Lee, I don't want to say this, but your current points are enough to raise a Baihu to a Qianhu. I don't need to say more about how many people are jealous of you. Fuck, Li Fan was a little uncomfortable, thinking that this was a bit too much. Didn't he only repel the genie guards 3 times? Was there a need to put him on such a high position? Last time, that Li Wenjue and Li Baihu were enough to make him suffer. Now if there were a few more, or 2 Qianhu, how could he play? Don't tell me you still have ideas about me. Li Fan looked at Yang Kai suspiciously, but Yang Kai held the handle with one hand and quickly raised the other. I've always been a man of my word. If I say I won't mess with you, then I won't mess with you. Fuck you, you don't have any civilized meaning in your words. This Yang Kai, why does he always talk in a roundabout way? Fuck, this is really too fucked up. I am also bloody unlucky, why do I always know such strange people? We are almost there. Yang Kai had already driven to a villa area. Li Fan knew this place, it was called Rainbow Home, a place where only the rich could afford to live. Who is this Yang Kai chasing that he actually came to such a place? Flying Cat is a Jianghu strange thief. Yang Kai seemed to have guessed Li Fan's doubts, he carefully stopped his electric scooter by the side, locked the two tires, then stood up with relief and explained to Li Fan. We received news that she will come here tonight to commit a crime. Chapter 200. What kind of person was Flying Cat? Li Fan was really curious. No matter how powerful the Qinggong, what could it be? Could it be that it could create wind on flat ground and leap 1,000 miles in one leap? Those were all mythical figures that would never appear in reality. Li Fan had even asked Murongying before, since ancient martial arts existed in this world, would there be cultivation? Murongying only rolled her eyes at Li Fan, thinking that he might have read too many novels. Yang Kai, do you think that in this world, there is cultivation, immortality, and the like? Li Fan felt that it was a bit awkward for the two of them to stand alone by the lake in this high-class villa, so he tried to find a topic to talk about. Practicing martial arts can strengthen one's body and prolong one's lifespan, but immortality is absolutely impossible. Yang Kai was more knowledgeable in this aspect. For example, our sect's founder, Zhong Sanfeng, he only lived for 100 years. That is to say, humans are ultimately unable to break through the limits of their lifespan. Life and death are decreed by fate, riches and honor are determined by the heavens. Yang Kai was very open-minded, so what if I die? I will still be a good man in 20 years. You don't believe in immortality, but believe in reincarnation. Humans must have some faith. Yang Kai laughed. How scary is a person who doesn't respect ghosts and gods? Although I, Yang Kai, am elegant and handsome, but I still need to have some respect. Get lost. Li Fan wanted to kick Yang Kai to the 9 heavens. But speaking of immortality, there was indeed such a legend in the pugilistic world in the past. Oh, what legend? Li Fan thought. Yang Kai continued, legend has it that there was such an expert in the pugilistic world who was known as the Undying Evil Buddha. This person was extremely talented, and his martial arts were unparalleled in the world. Furthermore, he created a mental cultivation method called Vairocana Sutra. Vairocana Sutra. Li Fan's heart skipped a beat. This was the martial art that Liu Xinnan had mentioned to him. This mental cultivation method sounds like a Buddhist technique, but it's actually very different. Yang Kai's expression turned heavy. This evil Buddha created this technique to absorb true qi from others and turn it into his own. Hey! This move sounded like his dragon-toad ingestion of water. Li Fan's ears perked up. It's fine if it's just junqi, but I heard that even the opponent's blood will be absorbed along with the junqi. Any martial practitioner who had their true qi sucked away would rapidly age. The undefeatable evil Buddha is using this to prolong his life. Is this possible? Li Fan had a mysterious feeling as he listened. I don't know the specifics. Yang Kai waved his hand. It's just some old Jianghu rumors. When I was disobedient when I was young, Master often used the name of evil Buddha to scare me. But now that I've grown up, I won't believe this. However, rumor has it that the experts of the major sects of the Jianghu fought with him for 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, all the experts died, and only then did he defeat him. If I can be a bad person to this extent, my life will not be in vain. Li Fan sighed. I don't know if I can leave behind any rumors of me in the Jianghu in the future. Brother Li, if you work hard, you should be able to. Yang Kai laughed. As for me, I'm so handsome that I can shock the Jianghu. I will definitely leave a strong mark. I think so too. Oh, Brother Li and I think heroes think alike. In the future Jianghu rumors, the former Wudong Mountain disciple Yang Kai was killed by the top 10 experts of the Jianghu. His death was horrible and appalling. Yang Kai's body trembled slightly. It was unknown if he was happy or angry. Let's get down to business. Yang Kai took a deep breath and calmed himself down. The security guards of this district are very fierce. In order not to alert them, let's climb over the wall. Yang Kai stretched out 2 fingers and pointed at the top of the high wall. What are you afraid of? Use your beauty to seduce the security guards. I guarantee success. I'm a man. Ah, so you're a man? Li Fan exclaimed, I just found out. I'm sorry. Sister. Brother Li. If you do this, we can't be friends. No need to be friends. Let's just be passers-by. Li Fan declared, I helped you once, you helped me once. We're even. For the first time, Yang Kai felt so depressed. This brother Li, why does his words always carry the smell of gunpowder? Brother Li, let's climb over the wall first. Sure. Li Fan did not hesitate. He jumped and somersaulted in the air. Before his feet touched the ground, he jumped over the 3-meter-high wall. Brother Li's Qinggong is so handsome. Yang Kai kicked the wall twice and landed in the courtyard of the district. Looking at Li Fan, he could not help but praise. But compared to my cloud ladder, it's still a bit inferior. You're the best. You're the best. Li Fan could not be bothered to argue with this guy. This was not the first time he saw Li Fan's narcissism. But will the flying cat really come today? Li Fan squatted in the corner of the garden. After all, this was a place where the rich lived. The facilities were really good. There were flowers and grass everywhere, and there were mountains and rivers. In the entire district, there was a huge artificial lake. Around the lake, there were some beautiful villas. It was unknown how many lifetimes an ordinary person would have to struggle to live in such a place. Wine and meat stink at the gates of the rich, but there are frozen bones on the road. Yang Kai could not help but sigh. Regarding this point, no matter which year it will never change. You can't say it like that. The rich have their own enjoyment, and the poor naturally have their own happiness. Li Fan did not agree with Yang Kai's statement. Furthermore, as long as one is strong and independent, the poor can also change their fate. But in today's society, how many people have this kind of awareness? Yang Kai touched his chin and sighed again. After all, there are fewer and fewer people like me who are handsome, confident, and righteous. What the fuck? This guy never forgot to praise himself. So is the flying cat coming or not? Which family has she taken a liking to? Li Fan did not want to bother with Yang Kai, so he went straight to the point and asked. That's the family. Yang Kai pointed to a small villa with a few luxury cars parked in front of him. I heard that the flying cat has her eyes on this family's family heirloom. She even sent out a notice, and the owner of this family has requested help from the embroidered uniform guard. Our mission today is to capture the flying cat. Ordinary people can request help from the embroidered uniform guard? Li Fan was a little puzzled. To put it bluntly, the embroidered uniform guard is also the imperial court's lackeys. Yang Kai smiled. The owner of this family seems to know some important people, so he can get help from the embroidered uniform guard. All right. Anyway, I'll help you this time, but you must remember the promise. Chapter 201. You two must be the experts from the Genie Guard. I've been looking forward to your arrival. Li Fan and Yang Kai walked into the villa. A young man in a black suit immediately greeted them. My name is Peter, I'm Mr. Wang's assistant. I'm in charge of receiving you two. Oh. Yang Kai lowered his head and checked his nails as he said casually, it's such an important matter, and your CEO Wang doesn't even want to show up personally. I'm sorry, Mr. Wang is a bit busy right now. He specifically asked me to pick you two up. The assistant quickly said. Li Fan didn't care, but Yang Kai swept his sleeves and coldly said, then let him be busy. Let's go. You two, please wait. The assistant was shocked. If the two of them left, it would be disastrous. The two of you, please wait. Yang Kai and Li Fan completely ignored the assistant and walked out without looking back. This time he was helping Yang Kai, so Li Fan was very cooperative. In order to not let Li Fan's identity be exposed, Yang Kai specially made a black ghost mask for him. This mask only had one piece, and it just covered his face. It didn't block his nose and mouth, so he could breathe. The Genie Guard had such a thing. Sure enough, it was an organization that walked in the dark. Yang Kai even helped Li Fan prepare the waist tag. It was said that he casually got it. Who knows which unlucky person it belonged to. The assistant quickly caught up and apologized and begged, you two, please don't go. We can discuss this. Without you two tonight, Mr. Wang's family heirloom would be lost, and I would lose my job. Whether you lose your job or not, what does it have to do with us? Yang Kai mercilessly said, our mission is to protect the thing. Now that we can't see the owner and the thing, we naturally have to go back. Little Zhong, let me say it. Seeing that Yang Kai insisted on leaving, the door next to them was opened. A middle-aged man wearing luxurious pajamas walked out. This middle-aged man's face showed a look of displeasure. He seemed to be very dissatisfied with Yang Kai's attitude. You too, if you leave just like that, I'm afraid that a certain Lord Chen who will not be happy, right? The middle-aged man seemed to be implying something, but Yang Kai chuckled and said coldly, what does that have to do with us? Director Wang, is this how you treat us when you invite us here? Let's get this straight. I didn't invite you here. You were sent here. With a cigar in his mouth, he said, so what if he's from the Jianghu? Won't he still be used by me? Don't think that I don't know that once you embroidered uniform guards accept a mission, you must complete it. Wasn't this person's attitude a little too arrogant? What did he take himself for? Li Fan felt a little uncomfortable, but he was in disguise, so it was not suitable for him to speak much. He could only rely on Yang Kai on this occasion. With Yang Kai's pride, would he be able to withstand Director Wang's ridicule? Let's finish the mission first. Then, we'll come back and beat him up. Yang Kai said to Li Fan using the 1,000-mile sound transmission technique. Director Wang sat there, unable to hear a single word. No matter what, let us take a look at your family heirloom first. Yang Kai said. What if the two of you spoil it? We're just looking and not touching it. How can it spoil? Yang Kai was so angry that he wanted to laugh. This Director Wang, not only did he stink of money, his IQ might be a little low. A real treasure will be spoiled when it's looked at by others. Director Wang's words were very arrogant. His high and mighty attitude was unbearable. Li Fan felt that Yang Kai was just narcissistic. This person obviously regarded him as the king of heaven. This damn fatty, just because he has some money, he doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Li Fan's mouth twitched. If it wasn't to help Yang Kai with this mission, he wouldn't be bothered to work for this kind of person. Speaking of pride, a youth of his age was more prideful than anyone else. We don't even know what to protect, how can we protect it? Yang Kai questioned. A bunch of poor thugs from the Jianghu. Director Wang sneered, fine, today I'll let you open your eyes. With that said, CEO Wang stood up and pressed on the wall next to him. The portrait of a naked woman hanging on the wall immediately moved to the side, revealing a delicate safe inside. Director Wang entered the password and opened the safe. Immediately, a golden Buddha statue appeared. This Buddha statue was only the size of a palm, but the craftsmanship was exquisite. The carvings were very lifelike. Li Fan didn't know much about antiques, but he could feel that this thing was not cheap. Don't look down on this golden Buddha statue. This is an item from the Song dynasty. Director Wang chuckled. I spent a lot of effort to get it. You poor bastards, if you take a look at it, your life will be worth it. Song dynasty? This is a private collection, it's illegal. Li Fan finally couldn't bear it anymore and said, I asked you to come here to protect me, not to teach me a lesson. Director Wang scolded, two poor bastards, who do you think you are to dare to teach me a lesson? I have money, I am the law. Do you understand? If the two of you dare to say another word, I, your father, will immediately find someone to skin the two of you. Do you understand? Li Fan and Yang Kai looked at each other and smiled. Wasn't this what they wanted? The two of you, what are you laughing at? Director Wang didn't expect that after he scolded them, the two of them would actually laugh. Director Wang, this golden Buddha statue of yours is indeed pretty good looking. The assistant at the side suddenly walked forward. Director Wang scolded. What are you doing here? Move aside. This won't do, Director Wang. After all, I can't resist the charm of this golden Buddha statue. As the assistant said that, he extended two fingers and suddenly poked Director Wang's body. Vein seal. Pu. Director Wang's blood flow was immediately sealed. He stood there, unable to move. Only his mouth could move. You, what are you doing? Peter, you don't want to work anymore? I'm not Peter. The assistant curled his lips. Director Wang, take a look at who I am. As he said that, he stretched out his hand and pulled at the mask. This mask was actually a woman's face. Li Fan could only vaguely see an oval face. Then, it was blocked by the half-cat mask. It was a living person. In the blink of an eye, the assistant Peter had turned into a beauty wearing a catgirl's clothes. "It's you." Seeing this woman appear, Li Fan was shocked. "Two idiots, thank you for your help." Flying Cat smiled at Yang Kai and Li Fan. Then, with his left hand, he kept the golden Buddha statue into a black bag. With a flick of his right hand, he threw out a handful of black nails. Like a hidden weapon, he threw them towards Li Fan and Yang Kai. Chapter 202. Li Fan grabbed the curtain next to him and with a shake of his hand, the curtain was infused with innate qi, covering all the nails inside. "Throw it away." Yang Kai slapped Li Fan's wrist, sending the curtain flying. Crackle. Crackle. It was as if firecrackers were stuffed inside the curtain, making a crackling sound. "Fuck, these nails are actually filled with gunpowder," Li Fan said. If Yang Kai hadn't helped him in time, he might not have been able to keep his hand. It seemed that his experience in the underworld was still too shallow. The flying cat had already jumped out of the window and disappeared into the night. "Where are you going?" Yang Kai had already taken the lead and chased it out of the window. The curtain was still swaying gently. Li Fan was about to chase after it when Director Wang shouted from behind. "Don't go. Untie me first." Li Fan was about to help him, but Director Wang scolded again. "Two pieces of trash, dogs. You can't even protect my baby. Hurry up and untie me. I'm going to complain to your boss. I'm going to skin you." Li Fan stood in front of Director Wang, who continued to scold him. "What are you looking at, idiot? Hurry up and untie me. Do you know me?" Li Fan pointed at his mask and asked. "How would I know a pauper like you? I'm high and mighty, do you understand?" "That's good." Li Fan nodded, then suddenly punched Director Wang's fat chin with an uppercut. Puff. CEO Wang spat out 2 teeth from his mouth. His body was sent flying high into the air. With a bang, he smashed through the ceiling above his head and hung there. "Now you're really high and mighty, no need to thank me." Li Fan clapped his hands and looked at Director Wang, who was dangling from the ceiling. He was very satisfied with his masterpiece. When the maid heard the noise and saw Director Wang stuck in the ceiling, her scream pierced the night sky. However, Li Fan had already leaped out of the window and was chasing after the sky cat. The flying cat's qigong was indeed outstanding. People who didn't know better would really think that she was a cat demon who cultivated here. She sped through the night as if she was stepping on clouds. From time to time, she would soar a few meters into the air. Her figure was faintly discernible, causing Yang Kai to have a hard time catching up with her. Although Yang Kai was an outstanding disciple of Wudang, his qigong was much weaker. His speed was obviously not as fast as the flying cat, and he was soon left behind. He. You want to chase me with this kind of lightness skill?" Flying Cat turned her head around and made a face at Yang Kai, who had been thrown far away. But she suddenly sucked in a sharp breath, because another embroidered uniform guard with a devil mask was following behind her with ease. Impossible. He had already used 70% of his qigong, so how could the lackeys of the brocade guard still catch up to him? Her master had said that her qigong was already unrivaled in the world. Even if she went up against the current martial arts alliance master, Murong Ying, she would still be slightly better. But now, there was actually someone who could catch up to her. It was truly inconceivable. Flying Cat recalled that she had met a young man whose qigong was also very amazing. Could it be that she had not been in the pugilistic world for too long that so many qigong experts had appeared? The person chasing beside Flying Cat was none other than Li Fan. He was currently using the deer scamper of the deer strike technique. Not only was this qigong fast, but it also had a strong endurance. That was why, after chasing for so long, even Yang Kai had been left behind by such an expert, but Li Fan was still able to keep up with Flying Cat. Every time his feet landed on the ground, he would use the force to bounce up, allowing his body to leap another 7 or 8 meters forward. Naturally, the amount of vital qi he expended was also much less. "Lackey, your qigong is quite impressive." Flying Cat praised someone for the first time. But I haven't used my qinggong to its fullest, so don't be too pleased with yourself. Then take it out and let me broaden my horizons. The corners of Li Fan's mouth curled up into a smile, maintaining the pretentiousness that an expert of the embroidered uniform guards should have. You can keep up now. Flying Cat shook her perky buttocks and strode forward with a pair of beautiful long legs. Suddenly, her body pressed down a few centimeters, as if she was almost sticking to the ground. Her legs continuously stepped on the ground, and her whole body suddenly accelerated, nimbly jumping between the building. Li Fan smiled. Although his qinggong was not comparable to Flying Cat's, he had already made preparations in order to capture this girl. He extended his hand and took out a claw that was connected to a chain from his waist. This was what Li Fan had requested from Yang Kai beforehand. With this item, Li Fan's pursuit would be much easier. Flying Cat's qinggong was elegant. She stepped on the edge of the building and leaped forward more than 10 meters, easily landing on the roof of the building. As for Li Fan, he was not in a hurry. After rushing to the edge of the building, he leaped forward more than 7 meters. Then, he threw out his claw and grabbed onto the water pipe on the roof of the opposite building. This claw was imbued with Li Fan's true qi, and it was as nimble as an arm. Li Fan pulled with his hand, and with the strength of the claw, he leaped forward a few meters. At the same time, his speed increased by 70 to 80%. Seeing that the embroidered uniform guards had actually used such a method to catch up to her, Flying Cat could not help but feel a little surprised. After leaping between the buildings a few times, Li Fan relied on this claw to get closer and closer to Flying Cat. What the hell? Flying Cat no longer had the arrogance from before. Now, she looked at Li Fan as if she had seen a ghost. This person relied on a claw to actually make up for the flaw in her qinggong. Flying Cat looked at the electric pole in front of her and suddenly had an idea. She quickly jumped up the electric pole and landed on the electric wire. Every time she stepped on the electric wire, she would do it with one foot. This way, the electric current would not form a circuit in her body, and she would not get electrocuted. This was a qinggong that only an expert like Flying Cat could perform. If an ordinary person stepped on such a soft electric wire, they would not even be able to maintain their balance, let alone one foot. Flying Cat would step on the electric wire with one foot and then bounce forward. This repeated, and she would advance forward. Li Fan did not have that ability, but he was not in a hurry. He stuck close to the ground and followed Flying Cat. Just as Flying Cat was about to jump a little higher, Li Fan suddenly shook his hand and threw a golden bullet at Flying Cat. Child's play. Flying Cat's body actually paused in the air for a moment, and the golden bullet flew past the bridge of her nose. At this moment, Li Fan's right claw left his hand again and directly hooked onto Flying Cat's shoulder. Not good. Flying Cat cried out in alarm, but it was too late. Li Fan pulled on his claw and forcibly pulled Flying Cat down from the air, which was already 10 meters in the air. Whoosh! Flying Cat used her qinggong to counteract Li Fan's strength, but she was still thrown in front of Li Fan. Flying Cat, is it? I'll take it down. Chapter 203. Li Fan stretched out his hand to grab Flying Cat's wrist. However, Flying Cat was not an ordinary thief. Although she was panicking, she quickly calmed down and threw a bunch of nails at Li Fan's face. Ha! Li Fan used ferocious tiger roar and the sound wave exploded with true energy, blowing the nails away. Bang, bang, bang. Like playing with a firecracker, the nails exploded in the surroundings. Good fellow. Are you trying to disfigure me? Li Fan looked at Flying Cat with lingering fear. It was said that a woman's heart was the most poisonous, and he had finally experienced it today. Who asked you to chase after me, Page? Flying Cat did not seem to be good at martial arts, but she had hidden a bunch of nails somewhere and threw them at Li Fan. After throwing them, she turned and ran, not wanting to fight with Li Fan at all. Flying Cat knew that her strength was qinggong. However, Li Fan did not even use ferocious tiger roar this time. Flying Cat's technique of throwing hidden weapons was too clumsy. With a wave of his hand, Li Fan created a gust of wind and directly swept the bunch of nails away. Flying Cat wanted to use qinggong to leave again, But Li Fan's right hand grabbed her ankle and pulled her back to the ground. "You are so annoying." Flying Cat turned around and scolded. "You are so young, why do you want to be a thief out of everything?" Li Fan scolded softly. "What does this have to do with you? Mind your own business." As Flying Cat said that, she flipped her little tongue and a black nail suddenly shot out from her mouth, heading straight for the center of Li Fan's eyebrows. Li Fan used great sage star picking and caught the black nail in his hand. This thing was definitely not gunpowder in Flying Cat's mouth. Flying Cat stomped her feet angrily. Although she did not succeed, she still flew backward and tried to escape again. Li Fan reached out again, grabbed her hands, and pulled her back to the ground. "Don't go, I haven't finished talking to you yet." "I don't want to hear it." The Flying Cat was a little anxious. She was a little anxious. This embroidered uniform guard was too difficult to deal with. His Qinggong couldn't escape, and his hidden weapons couldn't hurt him. No wonder when he was descending the mountain, his master tried to dissuade him, saying that he was only good at Qinggong and that he would be at a disadvantage sooner or later. Back then, she didn't believe it, but now she had seen it for herself. If her Qinggong was ineffective, her Flying Cat would be helpless. "Come, let's talk about life." Li Fan had no intention of letting the Flying Cat off. It wasn't right for her to steal something from someone else. Moreover, he had to rely on her to help Yang Kai pass this mission. That damned Yang Kai, why wasn't he here yet? He was too slow. Was he an old granny? Just as Li Fan was grumbling, the Flying Cat looked left and right, seemingly looking for a way to escape. But Li Fan's hands were like iron hoops, causing the Flying Cat to be unable to struggle free. She was actually unable to escape. Damn it. Quickly let go. The Flying Cat suddenly raised her leg, and a blade immediately shot out from her foot, aiming straight for Li Fan's neck. "This little girl is really vicious." As Li Fan spoke, he bit the tip of the blade with his teeth, forcefully blocking the blade on the Flying Cat's shoes. Damn it. The Flying Cat was somewhat afraid. She didn't expect this embroidered uniform guard to be this powerful. Her sneak attacks were all blocked by him. Logically speaking, an ordinary person wouldn't be able to react in time to her sure-kill kick. But Li Fan was an exception. His unique slow motion caused the Flying Cat's attack to be ineffective. "Just surrender obediently." Li Fan said, "You won't be able to escape." "That's hard to say." The corner of the Flying Cat's mouth suddenly curled up. "You lackey, don't look down on me." As it spoke, the Flying Cat suddenly whistled. This whistle was strange, as if it carried some special true energy in it. Immediately after, countless pairs of bright eyes suddenly appeared around the building. When Li Fan saw it clearly, he realized that there were groups of wild cats appearing around him. They seemed to be controlled by the Flying Cat as they suddenly attacked Li Fan. The claws of these wild cats were very sharp, and even Li Fan couldn't withstand it. If there were only 3 or 4 of them, it would still be fine. But now, there were at least a few dozen of them, and they were densely packed together. They attacked Li Fan, forcing him to take a few steps back. At the same time, he used his crane hand to continuously hit the wild cats in front of him, slapping them away. These wild cats were only controlled by the Flying Cat, and Li Fan didn't want to kill them. Therefore, he was very careful and only sent them flying, but didn't kill them. The Flying Cat's eyes seemed to light up, but it wasn't the time to think about other things. She didn't dare to hesitate and immediately jumped up and ran. The Flying Cat's Qinggong was unparalleled, especially when it was running for its life, where it displayed even greater power. In the blink of an eye, she had already run more than 10 meters away. Li Fan suddenly shouted, and the surrounding wild cats fainted. The Flying Cat had already run far away, and Yang Kai was also by her side. "Where is she?" "She went into the shopping mall over there." Li Fan and Yang Kai walked toward the shopping mall where the Flying Cat was hiding, but at that moment, a movie had just ended, and many customers came out of the shopping mall. These people looked at Li Fan and Yang Kai strangely. After all, the two of them were dressed like cosplayers in the modern world, or they were crazy. A short-haired girl in a denim skirt walked past Li Fan, bringing with her a fruity fragrance. Li Fan didn't suspect anything, and was still looking at the shopping mall. The girl revealed a smile, turned around, and got into a taxi. She must have slipped away. Yang Kai was so angry that he slapped the small tree beside him, and a piece of bark fell off the small tree. This woman is not only good at qigong, she is also good at disguise. There are so many people here, and we can't find her at all. Looks like I won't be able to help you this time. Li Fan also felt a little depressed. It was his first time helping someone, and he still failed. It's okay, no matter what you said, you did help. Yang Kai comforted Li Fan. I am preparing. His gaze fell on Li Fan's back, and his expression suddenly became strange. Li Fan turned his head, and saw Yang Kai's strange expression, and subconsciously took 2 steps back. What are you trying to do? I said before, I don't have that kind of hobby. Brother Li, your back, fuck you, I will not carry it. You misunderstood, there is something on your back. Yang Kai said, and went forward to take down the thing on Li Fan's back. It was a piece of white paper, and a string of words was written on it. Big idiot, I will find you next time to play. The signature was a hand-drawn cartoon black cat. This damn woman. She fooled us all. Chapter 204. This woman, Flying Cat, made Li Fan feel a sense of defeat. Her martial arts were not as good as his, but she managed to escape his pursuit, causing him to suffer a loss. This kind of depression was really indescribable. Li Fan had been practicing martial arts for so long that he could be considered to have some small achievements. He was more or less a little proud, and his self-esteem also kept up. But now that he was played by a cat burglar, he was more or less unhappy. However, Yang Kai was a man of his word. Although he couldn't help him, he still decided to help Li Fan figure out the genie guard. Do you really agree with this plan, Brother Li? The two of them rode on Yang Kai's electric donkey, and Yang Kai couldn't help but ask, why not? Li Fan chuckled, as the saying goes, nothing ventured, nothing gained. This is my resolve. I'm afraid, outsiders won't believe that there's actually a spy in the genie guard. Yang Kai muttered, the genie guard had stood in Jianghu for hundreds of years. It could be said to be an organization that transcended reality. Since the establishment of the Ming dynasty until the Qing dynasty, it was actually still maintained in secret. But the genie guard was more special. It wasn't a weapon of the court, but secretly carried out the work of fighting against the Qing dynasty. After the Republic of China, Yuan Shikai found the commander of the genie guard and signed a cooperation agreement with him. Since then, the genie guard actively prepared for Yuan Shikai's restoration. But at this time, the genie guard split internally. The commander's proud disciple betrayed him, and used a secret technique to kill Yuan Shikai. From then on, the genie guard officially split into the Black Guard and the Gold Guard. The Gold Guard followed the commander, while the Black Guard followed his beloved disciple. Later the beloved disciple joined our party, and the Gold Guard followed Jiang Jieshi. During the Civil War, it was also the 10 years of internal war in the genie guard. Later, the commander was killed by his beloved disciple, and the genie guard merged back into one, and became a weapon of the government, carrying out dark missions. The identity of the Black Guard was also preserved, and changed to Blackguard. Their identity was very confidential. Even the people inside the genie guard only knew their code names. Only one person was special, and that was Heartless Saber Yu Shi. It was said that this woman was the beloved disciple of the current commander-in-chief. She was born without any feelings and only had her mission in her eyes. Therefore, her nickname was the Heartless Blade. She was one of the few young masters in Jianghu who had reached the peak. This was what Yang Kai had told Li Fan about the history of the embroidered uniform guard. He didn't know much more than that. Li Fan's method was to personally enter the embroidered uniform guard and see what this organization was like. However, Yang Kai's electric scooter seemed to be a little disappointing. It ran out of battery halfway. You must be too heavy. Yang Kai's heart ached as he touched his beloved car. My car is a small displacement. Low capacity. Small displacement, my ass. Where did you get the displacement from? Can we stop joking around? In short, let's walk the rest of the way. Yang Kai carefully locked his electric scooter on the side of the road. He took out a coat from the seat and wrapped it tightly around the electric scooter. Be good and rest here for a while. Daddy will pick you up in the morning. Yang Kai patted the electric scooter and said softly beside it. Fuck, this lunatic. Li Fan wanted to kick him to the ground. This person might have a problem with his brain. Why was he talking to an electric scooter? What are we going to do next? Li Fan asked. Yang Kai looked at his Jordan shoes with a pained expression. There's still a long way to go. My Chia 12 will cry if we run so far. What about you? Hail a taxi? That's expensive. Why don't you carry me back? I'm light, only 150 pounds. Fuck off. Li Fan felt that he could laugh at this guy. Fuck, this guy really needs to take his medicine. Narcissistic and stingy. Too bad. Forget it. It's time to let my Chia 12 experience the passion of sports. Yang Kai looked at his shoes pitifully. Li Fan felt that he was not only stingy, but he might have a fetish. The two of them could only choose to walk. Fortunately, they were both martial artists. Their qigong was not bad. They walked quickly and did not feel tired. As for Yang Kai, he always chose clean places to rest. He decided not to touch dirty places. Li Fan finally understood why his qigong was so far behind. This guy had a mental illness. Big brother, let me give you a suggestion. Li Fan could not help but ridicule. Take off your shoes and tie them to your head. Then run barefoot. You will be able to increase your speed. How can I do that? That will hurt my precious jade feet. Jade feet your sister. Brother Li, how can you be so rude? I want to beat you up. Can't you speak properly? Oh. I'm afraid of dirtying my feet. Fuck off. This Yang Kai was practically the same as Huang Lei. They were both clowns. The two of them would probably fight for the entire night. It was unimaginable that they would meet. That would definitely be the end of the world. Let's not think about it. Amitabha. I've sinned. Li Fan followed Yang Kai to the parking lot of a shopping mall. The Genie Guards branch is here? Li Fan could not help but ask. Of course not. But only here can we go to the branch. Yang Kai said and brought Li Fan to a black Iveco. Genie Guard Yang Kai, Zhongyong. He had Li Fan raise his badge with him and wave it at the front passenger seat. The back door of the Iveco immediately opened. In this gloomy parking lot, the atmosphere was like a horror movie. Li Fan roughly understood Yang Kai's meaning. The two of them got into the back and the door closed by itself. The interior of the car was completely enclosed. One could not even see their fingers in front of them. But Li Fan felt the car move as if it was moving forward. All the Genie Guards below the rank of Qianhu can only use this method to return to the branch. Yang Kai used 1,000 sound transmission to inform Li Fan. Li Fan did not reply. After all, he did not know how to use sound transmission. Li Fan sat in the car with his eyes closed. But he released the qi in his body. Although the car was completely enclosed and there was no way to use qi to probe the outside, but the space inside the car could be explored. Li Fan's qi filled the car. His control of qi was getting better and better. Like sound waves, he could probe the surrounding objects. His crane hand, also known as immortal crane flapping wings, relied on this principle to send the objects that entered the range of his qi flying. At this time, the qi filled the car. Li Fan was surprised to find that there was another person in the back of the car. Chapter 205. Li Fan suddenly opened his eyes. The true qi in his body was thick and full. His eyes were like the cold stars in the night, shining brightly. Yang Kai, who was sitting opposite, also closed his eyes to rest. He felt a trace of hostility from Li Fan and opened his eyes. In this dark carriage, he could see Li Fan's pair of starry eyes. Yang Kai could not help but murmur in his heart. This man's inner force was quite profound and pure. He was a few years younger than him and looked like a high school student. He did not know how he cultivated. He estimated that his talent was only a little bit lower than him. In terms of talent and inner force, Yang Kai believed that he would not lose to anyone. However, this Li Fan's external force was strange and ruthless. It made him suffer continuously. Where did this kid learn external force from? Did he really cultivate it himself? But Li Fan's eyes were full of hostility. Yang Kai immediately asked, "What's wrong?" "There's someone else in the car," Li Fan said without hesitation. These words were also for the third person to hear. Yang Kai's hand immediately touched his belt. Li Fan's palm was also infused with true qi. But that person still did not make a sound. Even the sound of breathing could not be heard. Li Fan felt that something was wrong. He took out his phone and used the weak light to illuminate the space in the carriage. A man sat motionless on the seat next to him. He did not respond to Li Fan and Yang Kai's gazes. Li Fan reached out his hand and pressed on his neck. He found that this person's body was cold and there was no pulse. "He's dead." Yang Kai had already determined this person's condition and said. Li Fan frowned. How could there be a dead person in the carriage of Genie Guard? And this person was wearing the uniform of Genie Guard. Obviously, he was also a member of Genie Guard. Could it be that he died in an accident while carrying out a mission? "Don't worry about him." At this moment, a voice came from the loudspeaker in the carriage. The driver obviously knew that they found the dead person. He said to them through the loudspeaker, "He's a traitor of the embroidered uniform guard. I'm responsible for sending his corpse back to the branch." The driver did not seem to notice the expressions on their faces. As he continued, "The Imperial Secret Service has strict rules, and no traitors are allowed. The two of you can take it as a warning. All right, turn off your phones." There was no signal here at all. The car probably had a signal jammer or something. Although it was a little uncomfortable to be with a dead person, in order to infiltrate the Genie Guard, Li Fan still turned off his phone. If there was a signal, he could use his phone's GPS to find the location of the branch. After that, the two of them did not speak again. After more than 20 minutes, they finally arrived at the legendary branch. When the car door opened, the two of them were still in a parking lot. However, this parking lot was relatively empty, and there were no cars parked there. It seemed to have been built for the sake of secrecy. "Come on, let's take the elevator up." Yang Kai had been here before, so he was familiar with the place. He led Li Fan into an elevator. The interesting thing about this elevator was that it did not go up, but it went down. Li Fan didn't know which floor he had descended to, but he felt that the elevator had reached the place after a while. It shouldn't be deep. This place is a bit too deep. Li Fan looked around. The surrounding space was very big, and it seemed to have an antique architectural style. There were red walls and green tiles everywhere. Those who did not know would think that they had come to an ancient house. The place they just entered was a very long hall. Above the hall was a blackboard with a long list of names. Li Fan took a look. His name was at the bottom, not in a very conspicuous position. His eyesight was good. Although he was far away, he could clearly see the words on the board. Li Fan, male, 18 years old, identity, student, advanced level. Kung Fu, unknown. Although this information was not complete, it basically summarized his situation. However, the Kung Fu section was really funny. The 7 heroes fist that he used was still unknown to the world. But Li Fan believed that it would not be long before this name would spread all over the world. Li Fan had the confidence of a teenager. They were not the only ones here. There were a few genie guards walking past them. Li Fan noticed that these genie guards were dressed differently. The most ordinary genie guards were like Li Fan and Yang Kai. Their clothes were mainly black and red. Basically, they had a black shirt and pants, with a long red waistcoat. They were not the lowest level genie guards. The lowest level was the small flag, who only wore a black shirt. And they were the Zongqi, whose rank was slightly higher. Because of the change of dynasties over the years, the ranks of the genie guards were also reduced. Above the Zongqi were the Baihu, then the Qianhu. Above the Qianhu were the commanders, and above them were the legendary 4 great blackguards. Li Fan had seen the clothes of the Baihu before. The red waistcoat had golden patterns on it, and the clothes were more exquisite. But Li Fan did not know about the Qianhu and the commanders, but the clothes and waistcoats of the blackguards were all black. Only the waistcoat had golden edges. After taking a few steps forward, Li Fan saw the armory. There were all kinds of cold weapons. There were knives, spears, sticks, axes, hooks, and forks. There were no hot weapons. The government probably would not equip these martial artists with them. On the left, there was a prison system that wasn't very big. There was a monk locked up in this prison. He was stout and sitting there, he was like a small mountain. "Wine, hurry up and bring me wine." The monk slapped the wall. His voice was like a bell, shaking Li Fan's ears. "You two little dolls, come here and bring wine to Lord Zeng. Is this how you treat your guests?" The monk's eyes fell on Li Fan and Yang Kai. He immediately shouted at them. "What are you shouting for?" An genie guard in front of the prison door took out his long saber and knocked on the bars, warning, "This is a prison, not a guest room. Shut up. Give me wine and I will shut up." The monk was still shouting. Yang Kai whispered to Li Fan, "Don't think that this monk is crazy. He is one of the famous 7 freaks of the pugilistic world. His nickname is Ox Monk. His physique is really like that of a strong bull. This guy is hard to catch. He is my welcome gift to the genie guard." Yang Kai was a little proud. Li Fan could not help but ask, "How did you catch him?" "Well, when I bumped into him, he was already drunk." Yang Kai chuckled. "I brought it over while I was at it." "Damn you." Li Fan rolled his eyes. He was the one who took advantage of him. Did they really think that he had been captured through a fierce battle? Just when the two of them were staring at Ox Monk, a Baihu walked over and called Yang Kai. "Why are you still here? The commander is waiting for you." Chapter 206. The commander is very angry. The Baihu looked at Yang Kai with disdain. "You should go and see him." With that, he turned around and walked away, muttering to himself, "TSK, what Wudang Mountain genius disciple. He is only SOSO. If this was 2 years ago, I would have beaten him until his teeth fell all over the floor." Yang Kai pointed at his back and said, "What about now? Now that I have gained some enlightenment, I can bear with this kind of small matter. Fuck, this guy is really shameless." Li Fan curled his lips and silently rolled his eyes. With this uniform and badge, Li Fan was unimpeded in this branch. In Yang Kai's words, there were at least 800 embroidered uniform guards in the world. Moreover, there were people in every branch, and they often visited other branches. The only way they could identify each other was through their badge. The badge that Yang Kai helped to steal belonged to another branch of the embroidered uniform guard, so it was easy to deal with. "You walk around here. I will go to the commander's office, it's just up ahead." With that, Yang Kai strode towards the office, without a trace of guilt in his heart. And the reason Li Fan came to the embroidered uniform guard was to study this organization. He walked around the hall. Many of the rooms were locked, obviously not allowing outsiders to enter. However, there was a door with the words "Information Room" that was unlatched. Li Fan pushed the door open and walked in, only to find a pile of documents on the shelf. After all, this was a government department, so the collection of information here was really rich. Li Fan even saw some martial arts manuals on a shelf. Li Fan randomly picked one up. It was a Huashan sword technique, and it was a precious handwritten copy. If he took this out, he would definitely be able to sell it for a lot of money. However, Li Fan was not interested in sword techniques. When he turned his head, he saw a familiar cultivation technique on the shelf. Minor phaseless technique. Li Fan was really too familiar with this technique. He had fought with Li Wenzhua a few times and was badly beaten by this technique. He extended his hand, and the minor phaseless technique landed in his palm. He began to flip through it carefully. There was a detailed method of circulating the cultivation technique, but Li Fan was just curious. He did not really intend to learn this martial art. After all, his body had already absorbed the minor phaseless technique and fused it with the heaven-swallowing toad. There was no point in learning more. Li Fan put the small phaseless divine art back and saw another book that interested him even more. The personal information of the undying evil Buddha. Was the embroidered uniform guard really a fortress? They even had something like this. Li Fan immediately took the document and began to flip through it quickly. It recorded the story of the undying evil Buddha. It said that the undying evil Buddha was a person from a small village. As a result, the village was caught in the flames of war and everyone was slaughtered. Only the 5-year-old undying evil Buddha survived. Alone, he almost begged all the way to Shaolin Temple and became a disciple of Shaolin Temple. But at the age of 13, he killed his master and senior brothers, including the abbot of Shaolin Temple at that time. He stole the secret manuals from the sutra depository and escaped into the pugilistic world. At the age of 18, he came out of seclusion and became known as the Evil Buddha. He fought his way into the martial arts assembly that year, defeated all the heroes, and took the position of the chief of the pugilistic world. But after he became the chief of the pugilistic world, he caused a foul atmosphere in the pugilistic world. In the end, several experts of the pugilistic world worked together to oust him from the position of chief. He fled into the mountains and hid. 10 years later, the 28-year-old evil Buddha came out of seclusion again. This time, he brought a real bloodbath to the pugilistic world. Revenge and slaughter filled the pugilistic world back then. This lasted for 50 years. For a whole 50 years, the evil Buddha still maintained his youthful appearance and did not age at all. Many experts fell victim to his evil hands and were sucked dry. And with this martial art, he obtained the title of the Undying Evil Buddha. Finally, after 50 years, the people of the pugilistic world could not stand his tyranny and rose up in revolt. At that time, all the heads of all the sects were mobilized and killed the undying evil Buddha at all costs. And the Vairocana Heart Sutra that the undying evil Buddha practiced was also submerged in history and the pugilistic world, and disappeared without a trace. But there was a saying that it was buried together with the treasures of the Ming dynasty, and the secrets were left in the imperial jade seal. These records were not different from what he knew. Li Fan was absorbed in reading, and suddenly a fragrance floated to him. Li Fan immediately turned his head and saw a familiar figure coming in. A beautiful one-eyed woman just glanced at Li Fan casually, and then picked up a document to study. Li Fan's heart skipped a beat. Damn, isn't this heartless saber Yushi? Damn, why is she in this place? If she finds me, I'll really die. Li Fan immediately pretended that nothing had happened. He first bowed respectfully to Yushi, and then casually read other documents. Yushi didn't know what she was looking for, and she didn't leave for a long time. And Li Fan was getting more and more anxious. He didn't know how Yang Kai was doing. Would the genie guard let him go if he didn't complete the task? Although he had made a solemn vow before, at this moment, Li Fan was still a little nervous. Last time he was able to defeat Yushi, it was because she had suffered a serious internal injury. But now she seemed to have recovered. Would he be able to fight her if she was in her heyday? What's more, this was the branch of the genie guard, and he didn't know how many masters were here. He must not alert the enemy. Thinking of this, Li Fan decided to leave the data room first. Li Fan plucked up his courage and put the information back on the shelf. Then, he strode out. He was getting closer and closer to the exit. Yushi didn't seem to notice him. Great. I should be more serious. I should be more careful when checking the information, Li Fan muttered as he came to the door of the data room. His hand was placed on the door handle, and his sleeve was pulled. Li Fan jumped quickly, and his true chi seemed to explode automatically, flowing quickly in his body. Li Fan turned his head and saw Yushi pointing at the hem of his clothes. There was some white dust on it. Was this woman a bit of a neat freak? Li Fan immediately bent down and patted off the dust. As expected, Yushi didn't pursue the matter and let Li Fan leave the data room. After he left the data room, he almost let out a long sigh of relief. Damn, it's really too scary. If they really fought, would it be good? Li Fan subconsciously walked towards the commander's office, and a loud roar came from the office. Yang Kai, I can't let you leave alive today. Chapter 207. Let's go. When Li Fan saw Yang Kai hurriedly running out, he shouted and ran outside. What happened? Li Fan subconsciously chased after him and asked, what did Yang Kai do to the commander that made him so angry? Well, this commander has something to do with that fatty Wang. While running, Yang Kai explained to Li Fan. The fatty Wang that he mentioned should be the boss Wang that Li Fan beat up. When I asked him if Fatty Wang had licked his dick, he became angry and shouted that he wanted to cripple this old master. Yang Kai was somewhat puzzled, but the two of them are so close, if it's not this kind of relationship, what else could it be? Li Fan almost collapsed. This Yang Kai's head is probably full of things like long yang fetish. This idiot, can't he think of something healthy and green? Also, that so-called commander, his temper is too big, saying a few words and then he starts killing. Yu Shika is still here. If he let her make a move, he and Yang Kai would have no chance to escape. Catch Yang Kai. A skinny middle-aged embroidered uniform guard chased after him and shouted. This person should be the commander of this place. Li Fan looked back and found that he was wearing black clothes, a golden vest, and a hat that symbolizes the commander. He has betrayed the genie guard. Kill him on the spot. The genie guard has an assassination order, so many of them are ruthless. For example, the last time he met Li Wenjue, in order to kill him, he did not hesitate to implicate innocent people. Li Fan, it's not too late for you to leave now. Yang Kai said to Li Fan, they don't know that we are together, so you won't be implicated. We came in together, and we will leave together. Li Fan said without hesitation, although I hate you, I will not be a villain. As soon as he finished speaking, 3 banner guards of the embroidered uniform guards rushed over from the side. Each of them carried a goose-feather saber and pounced towards Yang Kai. No matter what, Yang Kai was still an expert who had reached the next level. With the help of his inner Taiji, he did not care about these 3 imperial bodyguards. He shook his hands, and the power of Taikai burst out. The bodies of the 3 small flags were immediately sent flying. The real killer move came from behind. While Yang Kai was dealing with the 3 flags, the commander threw out 3 black darts. The darts drew an arc in the air and flew towards Yang Kai's back. If they really hit him, Yang Kai would probably be lying on the ground. Fortunately, he had Li Fan by his side. With a twist of his body, Li Fan tossed out the grappling hook hanging from his waist. The claw shook in the air and flicked away the 3 darts. So he has an accomplice. The commander looked at Li Fan coldly. Take him down as well. Leave the eldest disciple of Wu Dang to me. At this moment, a Baihu wearing a gold-rimmed red vest jumped down from the blackboard. He looked at Yang Kai with a smile on his face. It's the killing saber. The 2 banner guards at the side did not make a move. They were just watching the show. One of them said excitedly, he is good at using 2 swift sabers. His saber skills are as fast as the wind. Many people in Jianghu tremble in fear when they hear his name. Ever since he joined the embroidered uniform guards, he has been very successful. In less than a month, he has been promoted to the position of Baihu. I heard that he has his eyes on Li Fan, who is on the blacklist, and is planning to take him down and promote him to a Qianhu. Wow, he's so powerful. The other banner guard was a little envious. Of course. Now those 2 flag commanders are dead for sure. When the killing saber heard these words, he smiled proudly. He pulled out his saber from behind his back. Seeing Yang Kai and his accomplice standing together, he was ready to take their head. What eldest disciple of Wu Dang? That was just an empty title. His swift saber had never failed before. The 2 sabers were about to cut the necks of Li Fan and his accomplice. But at this moment, the 2 of them moved together. Get lost. Don't block the way. Yang Kai pulled with his palm. A suction force was generated. The killing saber staggered forward, and his body lost balance. Li Fan's tiger claw landed on his head and threw him to the ground. Bang! The floor cracked. The killing saber fainted. The 2 banner guards at the side were dumbfounded. These 2 banner guards actually crushed a Baihu. Am I dreaming? Li Fan knocked out the so-called killing saber. When he turned his head, he saw Yu Shi standing in the information room. She was still calmly looking at the information inside, as if she did not care about the commotion outside. That's good. Li Fan breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that Yu Shi did not care about this kind of thing at all. She probably felt that there was a commander outside who could handle this kind of thing. Truly trash. This seat will personally take care of you. The commander's body shot out. He jumped high in the air and threw out a row of black darts. Dang, 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 dang. They nailed the ground in front of Li Fan and his accomplice, blocking Li Fan and Yang Kai's footsteps. With this seat here today, none of you will be able to escape. As the commander spoke, the true chi on his body began to fluctuate. Soon, his clothes began to bulge, making him look slightly bloated. He no longer looked as thin and weak as before. Using true chi to strengthen your body can produce an effect similar to the alien bone-changing technique. Yang Kai explained to Li Fan, he is an expert who has reached the pinnacle, be careful. Come, come, come. I'll play with you. Li Fan crooked his finger at the commander. Childish. The commander coldly snorted and waved his hand at the wall beside him. A great spear hanging on the wall immediately flew up. It spun a few times in the air and finally landed in his palm. Letting the two of you die under this seat spear is not a waste of your life. Give up. I, Yang Kai, am someone who wants to be an international model. How can I die here? Yang Kai's dream is really ambitious. It made Li Fan wipe his cold sweat. What a gibberish. The commander said as he waved his great spear, this seat's divine dragon spear will take your life. With that, the commander's great spear suddenly stabbed forward. It was indeed clean and neat. It turned into a black shadow and went straight for Yang Kai's throat. However, Yang Kai was still an expert. He accurately placed his hand on the spear's shaft and pulled it behind him. The power of Tai Chi is specialized in borrowing force. The commander was pulled forward by his own force and staggered a step forward. Li Fan followed up with a move. He raised his leg and kicked the commander's chin with a white deer kick. Normally, a kick that could explode a person's head was kicked on the commander's head. However, it only made his head lift up. There was even smoke coming out of his chin. Chapter 208. Lesser Phaseless Magic. The embroidered uniform guards all use lesser phaseless magic to strengthen their defense. The commander's strength was obviously that he had practiced this martial art to the acme of perfection. Li Fan's white deer reverse kick landed on the commander's face, but it did not cause any damage. The commander's face only twitched a bit, but there was no wound. Did you not eat? The commander sneered, how come you don't have any strength? Do you think you can hurt me with just this little bit of martial arts? Ridiculous. Don't be too proud. Li Fan readjusted the chi in his body, keeping himself in peak condition. After all, the commander's strength was at the peak, much stronger than both Li Fan and Yang Kai. If they did not join hands, they would not be able to defeat him. Yang Kai, if it was 2 years ago, you might have been able to fight with me. The commander said to Yang Kai, but the current you, I do not even put you in my eyes. And your accomplice, no matter who you are, serves you right today. You're destined to die here. Don't be provoked by him. Yang Kai transmitted his voice to Li Fan. His nickname is the Dragon God Spear. His spear technique is outstanding and he is especially good at provoking his opponent. If you fall for his provocation, it is equivalent to falling into his trap. I understand. Li Fan said softly, causing the commander to laugh. Ha ha ha, no matter what the two of you are talking about, you are destined to die today. With that, he took a step forward and brandished the great spear in his hand. With a sweep of 1,000 catties, it was as if he wanted to flatten everything. This time, the commander was prepared. The chi and strength of his spear were too strong. Even if Yang Kai used his internal Tai Chi, he would not be able to completely dissolve it. Yang Kai's outstretched hand was repelled, and the spear tip swept towards Yang Kai's neck. Yang Kai hastily lowered his body, brushing past the spear tip to avoid this attack. As for Li Fan, he stretched out his arms and filled them with chi, blocking the commander's great spear. Bang! Li Fan's body was sent flying by the shockwave, and a powerful force erupted from his body. He swam more than 3 meters away before he stabilized his body. Li Fan shook his arms, which were already completely numb. You actually managed to block my spear. The two of you have no regrets in this life. The commander shook his spear. The tip of the spear was filled with powerful primary energy, seemingly forming a ray of light. Yang Kai, you have to hold on. Li Fan shook his arm to dispel the numbness. Yang Kai laughed and directly pulled out his belt from his waist and infused his true chi into it to form a sword. I can handle him with one hand. Shit, it's obviously your other hand that's holding onto your pant. If you don't grab me, won't you be naked? What if the wind blows my butt out of shape? Fuck off. The two of them started scolding each other, and the veins on the commander's forehead bulged. He was obviously infuriated. The two of you are actually chatting? You're really brave. The commander suddenly sneered, forget it, you're going to die anyway. If you have any last words, just say them. I won't die here. Idiot, bring it on. The two of them hooked their fingers at the commander at the same time, causing the commander to sneer again. Good, 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 let's see how much you two can struggle before you die. Tai Chi sword. Yang Kai waved his Tai Chi sword and directly stabbed towards the commander. The suction force of the Tai Chi sword gave the commander a headache. But what gave him an even bigger headache was that Li Fan, who was standing there, suddenly roared, and his body suddenly expanded a bit. From a muscular man of more than 1.7 meters, he expanded to more than 1.9 meters in the blink of an eye. But to Li Fan's surprise, the clothes and vest on his body were also stretched out. They were a few sizes bigger, but they didn't burst. What material is this clothes made of? It's so awesome. The commander was not surprised by the clothes, but he was surprised that this embroidered uniform guard's abnormal bone-changing technique. Bear. Mount. Army. Li Fan roared, the energy on his body trembled, and spread out in all directions. Yang Kai's treasured sword was already in front of the commander's eyes. The commander directly stretched out his right hand and grabbed the sword. Although there was a strong black hole-like energy on it, the commander's minor phaseless technique was also very strong. He used his hand to block the sword. The sleeves around him were shredded, but his palm was unharmed. At this time, Li Fan had already arrived in front of the commander and slapped him with the Ursa Major seal. Bang! The commander's other palm followed, and the two men's palms collided. True Chi surged out, and Li Fan was almost sent flying. But his feet were firmly planted on the ground. It was as if his feet were rooted to the ground and he did not move. Li Fan did not use the dragon toad's absorption of water. After all, this move was too evil and high profile. If he was not prepared to kill in one go, Li Fan would not use this move to avoid alerting the enemy, but the commander's strength was indeed strong. Fighting 1 against 2, he was not at a disadvantage and even sent both Li Fan and Yang Kai flying. Weak, too weak. The commander said disdainfully, the two of you want to defeat me with these fancy moves? What a fool's dream. And you are not an embroidered uniform guard. Who are you? The commander's gaze landed on Li Fan. You actually dare to impersonate our embroidered uniform guard. You really have guts. My embroidered uniform guards branch is not a place where you can come and go as you please. I really like to walk around when I have nothing to do. Li Fan laughed. The air in this place is a bit bad. It's like a tomb. How shameful must you be to hide in such a desolate place? Shut up. You really have guts. The commander was enraged. The embroidered uniform guard has been established for so long, but this is the first time I have seen such a crazy person like you. If I do not tear you into pieces today, I will kill myself with my dragon god spear. With that, he suddenly leaped and the spear in his hand seemed to transform into a dragon as it stabbed towards Li Fan. Brother Li, be careful. Yang Kai immediately extended his hand and activated his Tai Chi power. A nearby table was pulled up by this power and blocked in front of the commander. Bang! The table was directly torn apart by his spear and the tip of the spear was in front of Li Fan's nose. Ha! No matter how fast the opponent's spear was, it was still slower than Li Fan. Thus, the commander had miscalculated. Li Fan leaned to the side and dodged the commander's spear. At the same time, he grabbed the spear with both hands. Chapter 209. Li Fan is currently in the Bear Rider state, so his strength is at its peak. He holds the great spear with both hands. Although the commander's strength is not weak, he has just used up all his strength and has yet to recover. Li Fan grabs the spear and swings it with brute force, fiercely smashing it into the wall beside him. Tai Chi palm. Yang Kai follows up with a palm strike, slapping the commander's chest. Bang! The commander's body presses against the wall, causing cracks to appear. The two of them work together again, using all their strength. On the other hand, the commander cracked his neck, pulled himself out from the gap in the wall, and landed on the ground again. The little phaseless magic greatly strengthens this fellow's defense, causing Yang Kai and Li Fan to feel despair. Are you in despair? The commander's voice carries a sense of supremacy, as if he does not place Yang Kai and Li Fan in his eyes. The little phaseless magic is too heaven-defying. Although Yang Kai's strength has greatly decreased, his Jianghu experience is abundant, but he definitely has a weak point. As long as we find it, we will win. Let's test his weak point. Li Fan and Yang Kai charge forward again. The two of them choose to be agile and continuously use their fists and legs to attack the commander. This commander is like a Vajra god of war, not caring about the two's attacks at all, allowing them to hit him here and there. As for whether he will wave his dragon god spear and counterattack the two of them. The two of them do not dare to face his attacks head-on and choose to dodge. Two monkeys, are you still stubbornly resisting? The commander's face is full of mockery. It's useless. You will only end up as ghosts under my spear. Li Fan did not refute. He has already kept the bear rider and switched to using the crane strike technique, attempting to hit the commander's weak point again and again with the white crane strike. However, after hitting many acupuncture points, the commander is still safe and sound, as if the one being hit is not him but someone else. The two of them try many times, including piercing his eyes. Hit for me. Yang Kai kicks the commander's crotch, but the commander still has a smile on his face. Tai Dan, have you two had enough fun? The commander's eyes were still filled with mockery, while Yang Kai's brows furrowed deeply. That shouldn't be the case. The minor phaseless god technique does indeed have a weak point. Where exactly is his weak point? Li Fan glanced at Yang Kai, then at the commander. For some reason, he suddenly had a strange thought. Go ask the king of hell. The commander suddenly thrust out his spear again. Li Fan could tell that this fellow was not using his full strength each time. It was as if he was toying with the two of them. But the more the commander despised them, the happier they were. Li Fan was waiting for a surprise attack. He suddenly rolled on the ground and flipped behind the commander. Then, he kicked the commander's anus. Unexpectedly, the commander subconsciously turned around and fired a shot, forcing Li Fan to retreat. With a backflip, he landed on the ground and exchanged a glance with Yang Kai. He had found his weak spot. Motherfucker, this fellow's weak spot was actually his anus. Fuck, he really knows how to find a place to hide. This place was really something that ordinary people would not be able to find. If he did not suspect that Yang Kai was an anus, he might not have found it either. So what if you found it? Can you hit it? The commander seemed to be getting serious. He suddenly swept his spear, bringing with it a sharp chi. Shua. Li Fan and Yang Kai were forced to take a step back at the same time. The ground seemed to have been carved with an iron pen, leaving a deep one. The commander held the divine dragon great spear in his hand and sneered, I have to praise you. You actually found this seat's weak spot. But, this is of no help to you. With that, he raised his spear and attacked Li Fan and Yang Kai. At this time, the commander used at least 80% of his strength. The spear tip carried a terrifying chi which was many times stronger than Yang Kai's taiji sword. Li Fan and Yang Kai hurriedly rolled to the side. The spear stabbed a statue at the side. This statue of an unknown big brother was immediately stabbed and directly exploded. It looked like it was in pain. You two little bugs, where are you hiding? Obediently come to this seat and die. Fuck, are you retarded? How is that possible? Li Fan could not help but raise his middle finger at the commander. This fellow was too troublesome. Fortunately, Yushi was still reading the information in the data room and did not care about what was happening outside. Even the commander himself did not ask for help from Yushi. If he asked for help from Yushi, he would be disgraced as the commander. Our Lord Commander is angry this time. The two little flags who had been watching the show started to discuss again. That's right. Even if he won a Baihu, he would not be a match for our Lord Commander. The other little flag nodded. Let's make a bet. Bet on what? Bet on when they will die. Listening to the discussion of the two little flags, Li Fan became unhappy. Fuck, how inauspicious. You two kids, what are you waiting for? Let me out. I want to fight 300 rounds with him. At this moment, Monk Nyo, who was locked in the cell, suddenly roared. Are you a man of your word? Yang Kai was overjoyed. If this Monk Nyo was willing to join the battle, their chances of winning would be much higher. A monk does not lie. Monk Nyo placed his palms together and muttered. That's good. Yang Kai snatched the key from one of the little flags and opened the cell for Monk Nyo. In the end, Monk Nyo jumped out and directly attacked Yang Kai, causing Yang Kai to react in panic. Why are you hitting me? Yang Kai was still in a daze. You are the one who captured me. If I don't hit you, who else should I hit? Didn't we agree to only hit the embroidered uniform guards? A monk does not lie. You are sick in the head. Look at which monk drinks. Monk Nyo's words caused Yang Kai to be speechless. With Monk Nyo holding Yang Kai back, the pressure on Li Fan was like a mountain. The commander was much stronger than him. With Yang Kai around, it was still better. Now that Yang Kai was not around, he could not handle it alone. Li Fan suddenly had an idea and shouted to Monk Nyo, help us out. I will treat you to some good wine. Waha, kid, remember what you said. Don't worry. My words are more reliable than yours. Li Fan's invitation to drink was more useful than anything else. Monk Nyo immediately roared and picked up the body of a little flag beside him. He swung it like a club and smashed it towards the commander. Chapter 210. Although Xiao Qi's body was protected by the little phaseless magic technique, he was still being used as a weapon by Monk Nyo. After all, Xiao Qi was his subordinate. The commander could not be merciful. He kept his spear and stretched out his right hand to catch Xiao Qi's body. But what followed was Monk Nyo's fist the size of a clay pot. Bang! This fist was blocked by the commander's spear. The commander's spear did not even shake, showing how strong he was. Monk Nyo, do you think you can defeat me? The commander held a dragon spear in his hand and looked at the huge man in front of him with contempt. I can break your spear with just a bit of strength, Monk Nyo said as he grabbed the commander's spear with both hands. Hehe, I want to see if you have that ability. The commander's spear suddenly exploded with a huge amount of qi, repelling Monk Nyo's hands. Monk Nyo gave up on the spear and took a step forward. He grabbed the commander's shoulders with both hands. Li Fan could see clearly from the side that Monk Nyo's moves were mostly based on smashing. However, the commander was protected by the minor formless divine technique. It would be difficult for him to hit him. Monk Nyo, let me help you. Yang Kai used both hands to pull the commander's spear, trying to block his attack. Monk Nyo's hands were already on the commander's shoulders. He actually lifted him into the air, ready to smash him down at any moment. Child's play. The commander's expression did not change. Even though his body was upside down in the air and his spear was being pulled, he still used his other hand to slap Monk Nyo's forehead. Although the commander was most proficient in spear techniques, he had the little phaseless magic technique. The strength of this palm technique was not light. When the palm landed, it had the power to break through wind and thunder. Monk Nyo's forehead was hit and blood flowed out of his nose. But he still stood there and slammed the commander's body against the wall behind him. Boom! The wall collapsed, and the three of them crashed into the room next door. This was not the end. Monk Nyo continued to push the commander's body, breaking through 3 rooms in a row. Finally, he slammed the commander's body into the last wall. Even though Monk Nyo had also reached the peak of perfection, it was clear that his martial arts had only just reached this level. He only had about the strength of 4 dragons. As for this commander, he had the strength of at least 5 dragons. His strength was enough to crush them. This was reaching the peak. According to Murong Ying, if one wanted to become a grandmaster, they would need at least the strength of 10 dragons. On the other hand, Li Fan only had the strength of 6 tigers, which was the strength of 1 dragon and 1 tiger. The difference between him and the commander was too great. If it wasn't for the fact that the commander hadn't used his full strength, he and Yang Kai would have already met their maker. Especially since the commander's body was protected by the powerful lesser phaseless god art. He was smashed through so many walls, but he was still safe and sound. He was stuck upside down in the wall, and he only sneered at Monk Nyo. That's it. The commander's smile made Monk Nyo feel like he was about to collapse. This fellow, what a tough body. Monk Nyo was speechless. Looks like it won't be easy to drink this wine today. Hades has already prepared a cup of wine for you. As the commander spoke, he prepared to kill Monk Nyo. But at this moment, a shout came from behind Monk Nyo. Lower your head. When Monk Nyo heard this voice, he did not hesitate and immediately locked his neck and squatted down. At this moment, Li Fan's figure appeared behind him and fiercely kicked the commander's head. Li Fan did not make a move just now. He was waiting for this opportunity, and at the same time, he was secretly accumulating his chi. The white deer back kick was a move that required sufficient accumulation of strength. Now that he was given such an opportunity, how could he not use it? At this moment, the sole of his shoe was imprinted on the commander's face. Li Fan heard a crisp cracking sound. It seems like the commander's skull was cracked by his kick. Bang! A large piece of the wall behind him also exploded. Rubble flew everywhere and smoke billowed out. At this moment, the great spear suddenly broke through Yang Kai's blockade and swept towards Li Fan's abdomen. Li Fan was pulled out and fell to the side pathetically. The smoke slowly dissipated. The commander's mouth was bleeding and his eyes were filled with blood. He stared at Li Fan. Fuck, this fellow's cultivation is so high that it's scary. He used his head to eat my white deer back kick of 200% strength and is still alive. Li Fan could not help but give him a thumbs up. This is too fierce. You actually dared to injure me. The commander's teeth fell out. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and roared. Airwaves danced in all directions. Even Monk Nyo's body was somewhat unstable. Did this commander use his full strength? Everything in the room was vibrating as if it was being pulled by the commander's strength. A man with the strength of 5 dragons, even Murong Ying would need to spend some effort to deal with him. And Li Fan's strength was still too weak. To challenge such an expert now was beyond his limits. All of you must die. It was unknown whether it was because of fresh blood or anger. The commander raised his dragon god spear and his eyes were bloodshot. This person is too strong. Why don't we retreat? Yang Kai asked. We have nowhere to retreat. We must kill him. Li Fan understood that if they retreated now, they would only die. This kid is right. What are you afraid of? This Buddha will kill him together with you. As Monk Nyo spoke, he wrapped his arms around a pillar at the side. Then, his arms swelled up, and with a crack, he actually broke the pillar off. Lackey of the imperial court, go and die. Monk Nyo swung his arms and the thick pillar flew towards the commander. Scram! The commander roared angrily and thrust his spear forward with his left hand. It was as if a divine dragon was dancing in the air. Boom! The pillar was instantly broken by the spear and turned into large pieces of rubble that flew in all directions. Li Fan used the crane's hand technique to continuously deflect the stones that flew in front of him. Li Fan was indeed a little anxious. This was the enemy's headquarters. The longer they dragged this out, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. Once other Baihu or Qianhu heard the news and came over, they would probably fall into the abyss of death. That's right, Achilles' heel. Attack his Achilles' heel. Yang Kai, help me create an opportunity, Li Fan begged. Alright, this Taoist will fight it out with him. Yang Kai let out a long roar and used his Qinggong to dash towards the commander like a gust of wind. Die! The commander roared and the spear in his hand turned into a bolt of lightning. Chapter 211. The commander's spear was like a bolt of lightning, stabbing towards Yang Kai. What the commander and Li Fan did not expect was that Yang Kai did not dodge the spear. He opened his arms wide and welcomed the spear, allowing the dragon god spear to stab into his abdomen. The dragon god spear easily tore through Yang Kai's abdomen and came out from his back, bringing with it dark red blood. Yang Kai laughed loudly and grabbed the spear with both hands. Following that, the power of Tai Chi began to circulate in his body. Coupled with the strength of his muscles, he forcefully held onto the spear, preventing the commander from pulling it out. What? The commander tried to pull the dragon god spear twice, but it did not budge. It was obvious that Yang Kai had sealed it. How is it? Do you still think this Taoist is easy to bully? Yang Kai's mouth was stained with blood, but he was smiling very happily. Damn it! The commander roared again and again, wanting to tear Yang Kai into 1,000 pieces. But at this time, Li Fan, who had unknowingly appeared behind him, held his right wrist with his left hand and aimed at the commander's chrysanthemum. 1,000-year kill. Li Fan had been gathering true energy on his finger for a long time, and he shot it out like a bullet. The commander turned around and saw a wave of energy instantly appearing behind him. His eyes were filled with fear. He wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Pu. Red blood burst out from the commander's buttocks. His eyes bulged out and his mouth opened wide. At that moment, a trace of tears rolled down from the corner of his eyes. The commander's body trembled slightly, and he knelt on the ground. He stuck out his buttocks, unable to make a sound for a long time. It's done. Li Fan let out a long breath, and Yang Kai suddenly pulled out the divine dragon spear, directly pierced it into the commander's temple, and poked it out from the other end. The commander's weak point had been broken, so he could not circulate the minor phaseless divine technique. He was easily killed by a headshot. If he doesn't die, then we will die. Yang Kai held the wound on his abdomen. Although he had performed emergency hemostasis, it still looked quite painful. Little kid, don't forget the promised wine. Monk Nyo licked his lips, glanced at Li Fan, and then looked at Yang Kai. Lord Zhang has an important banquet tonight, so I can't accompany you too. See you later. With that, Monk Nyo patted the dust off his body, turned around, and ran outside. Very quickly, he disappeared without a trace. The two of us should escape as well. Li Fan helped Yang Kai up. If we don't leave now, we won't be able to. From now on, I will also be on the blacklist. Yang Kai laughed proudly. The two of us worked together to kill a commander who had reached the peak of perfection. Our names are going to be sung in the martial world. You should take your medicine. Li Fan rolled his eyes. As he led Yang Kai out silently, he reminded him, this is the embroidered uniform guard. The embroidered uniform guard will not allow the news of their commander being killed to spread. You're right. Yang Kai was somewhat stunned. Could it be that the commander was killed for nothing? But Li Fan admired Yang Kai. When he was still ruthless, he was definitely not careless. He was the real veteran of the martial world. He was still lacking. When they left, they still had to pass by the reference room. Li Fan directly carried Yang Kai and used his qinggong to leap over the wall outside the reference room, so that Yushi wouldn't see their figures. If this woman came out to stop them, then they would all die here. You're so domineering. Yang Kai leaned into Li Fan's embrace and suddenly said softly, my little heart is beating so fast, get lost. Li Fan threw him on the ground. Walk by yourself. Damn, I was just joking with Brother Li. Why so serious? Yang Kai rolled his eyes. He stood up from the ground and walked into the elevator with Li Fan. Tell me, are you gay? Li Fan leaned on the other side of the elevator, trying to keep a distance from Yang Kai. Of course not. Oh, I believe you. But can you stay a little further away from me? Take a step back. The elevator is only so big. Where else can I go? You call this believing me? There's an old saying. I don't know if you've heard it before. What? Yang Kai asked. Never have the heart to harm others, but never have the heart to guard against others. Li Fan replied expressionlessly. Damn, heaven and earth can be my witness. Brother Li, I don't have the heart to harm you. Yang Kai raised 3 fingers. It's even worse if you have other intentions. Brother Li, this isn't very good. I have a big hole in my body. How can you treat me like this? I deeply regret it. But you can't treat yourself as a woman just because you have a hole in your body. Damn you. Yang Kai couldn't help but curse. I'm in great pain now. I don't want to quarrel with you. This Taoist's sexual orientation is very normal. Then I'll introduce a girlfriend to you later. Li Fan said, you're as beautiful as a flower. There must be a woman who likes you. No, women are too noisy, Yang Kai said without hesitation. Then I'll introduce a boyfriend to you. Yang Kai burst into tears. Looks like I can't clear my name even if I jump into the Yellow River. The elevator quietly came to the upper floor. Li Fan immediately got off the elevator as if there were some germs in the elevator. Brother Li, give me a hand, women are troublesome. Damn, this Taoist is a man. Tomboys are troublesome. I'll fight you. Yang Kai covered his wound. He was so angry that his stomach was twitching. Li Fan walked over, helped him up, and walked outside. Yang Kai thought, although this guy has a bad mouth, he has a good heart. I'm just giving you a hand. You're not allowed to have any improper thoughts. The two of them fled all the way to the entrance of the parking lot. But the originally open door suddenly closed with a crash. They've found out that we've escaped. Li Fan looked around and found that the parking lot was getting quieter. He could not help but frown. Brother Li, are you afraid of death? Yang Kai suddenly asked. Of course I am. Li Fan smiled, I don't want to die here. The feng shui here is too bad. Then you go. Leave this place to me. Yang Kai glanced at the car next to him. You go and hide under that car. They won't be able to find you. I have blood on me. I can't hide. Fart. Li Fan stared at him. Even if you're gay, I'll take you out alive. Damn, this Taoist is not gay. Fine, I'll pretend you're not gay. While the two of them were bickering, more than a dozen embroidered uniform guards had already surrounded them. Chapter 212. Among the dozen embroidered uniform guards, there was a squad commander, and a baihu. They had seen this baihu before. He was the one who mocked Yang Kai earlier. The two of you are indeed traitors. The baihu placed his hands on his waist and looked at Li Fan and Yang Kai with disdain. I knew the two of you were up to no good. I don't know what you did to the commander, but he actually died. But with just the two of you squad commanders, do you think you can go against the heavens? He looked at Yang Kai. Yang Kai, a few years ago, you were indeed very powerful. But now, you are just a stray dog. Just a stray dog and you still want to ascend to the heavens? Look at you now. You can't even keep your intestines. So ugly. Who do you think you are? How dare you lecture me? Yang Kai looked at this arrogant baihu and noticed that his legs were strong. It was obvious that he was an expert in leg training. You don't even know my name. How ignorant. The baihu sneered. But you are only at this level. Let me tell you, my surname is Xiong, and my name is Chong. Xiong Chong. Yang Kai muttered. You are from the Xiong family? That's right. I am the descendant of the Xiong family's King Kong legs. Xiong Chong said proudly. There are 3 types of King Kong legs now. Our Xiong family has the best one. When it came to me, I have already trained it into mighty King Kong legs. As he said that, he lifted his leg and kicked. The air was torn apart by this kick. He turned around and kicked the car next to him. This black Honda slid out from the kick. There was a deep footprint on the car door. Which one of you can withstand my kick? Yang Kai, can you? You are basically a half-dead person now. You rest here. Li Fan helped Yang Kai to the side of the car. He took 2 steps forward and hooked his finger at Xiong Chong. Leave this to me. Who do you think you are? Xiong Chong scolded. Li Fan slowly took off his mask. My name is Li Fan, and I'm the one who can help you become a Qianhu. When he took off his mask, Xiong Chong's body trembled, and then his eyes were filled with excitement. Good. This is really a case of wearing out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find it by chance without even looking for it. Xiong Chong laughed heartily. I'll destroy you right now and make you a stepping stone on my road to success. As he spoke, he suddenly jumped up and spun in the air, sweeping his leg towards Li Fan's face. Li Fan took a step back and kicked the pillar beside him. Bang! A large piece of the pillar was immediately smashed by the kick, and Xiong Chong kicked it again. Li Fan raised his palm, and his leg was blocked by Li Fan's hand. What? Xiong Chong was taken aback. The power of his kick was enough to shatter gold and break jade, but it was actually blocked by this brat's palm? So funny. Li Fan smiled. With your mediocre martial arts, you're not even as good as Li Wenjue, and you still want to be promoted to Qianhu? Bullshit. Who said I am not as good as Li Wenjue? I am Xiong Chong, the descendant of the Xiong clan, an expert of great strength. King Kong leg. Xiong Chong roared, then twisted his body and continuously kicked towards Li Fan. Li Fan moved his body to the side and dodged Xiong Chong's continuous kicks. At the same time, he kicked Xiong Chong's waist, sending him flying and crashing into a car behind him. You think you're worthy of being called Great Strength King Kong leg? Li Fan pointed his finger at the ground. You're more like an old lady with a bowed leg. You dare to insult me. Xiong Chong crawled up, his eyes flashing with anger. No one has ever dared to insult me like this. I am Xiong Chong, Xiong Baihu, and a man destined to be a commander. Come. Li Fan hooked his finger at Xiong Chong, then let's fight again. My condition today might not be too good. Xiong Chong coughed twice. Wait until my condition is better, then let's fight again. Good condition your mother. Li Fan took the initiative to attack Xiong Chong. Xiong Chong used great strength King Kong leg, preparing to block Li Fan's attack. But Li Fan's white crane nod was faster and directly hit Xiong Chong's chest. Bang! Xiong Chong's body heavily smashed into the ground, causing it to crack. Father Bear Pile Driver. Li Fan grabbed Xiong Chong's body with one hand and ruthlessly smashed him into the ground again. Bang! 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 After smashing 3 times in a row, Xiong Chong spat out a mouthful of blood and completely fainted. With this, you can also become a Baihu of the Genie Guards. Li Fan ridiculed, let's go back and learn the minor phaseless divine technique first. Seeing Xiong Chong and Baihu lying on the ground, the surrounding Genie Guards couldn't help but take a few steps back, somewhat afraid of Li Fan's prestige. This Li Fan is so fierce, no wonder his name is on the blacklist, he really has some strength. If you guys don't make a move, then I will leave. As Li Fan spoke, he turned around and used a white deer reverse kick on the iron door that was closed. Dang! Li Fan's right leg was shocked numb, but the iron door didn't move at all. Damn, this door is at least 20 centimeters thick. Li Fan rubbed his sore calf and complained, do you have to be so fierce? We may not be able to escape. Yang Kai bitterly smiled, I forgot to mention the thickness of this door, a normal person will never be able to break through it. That's hard to say. Li Fan was about to make a move, but he suddenly felt a chill behind him and quickly stepped to the side. Shua! A saber aura cut the iron door in half, falling to the ground. Li Fan and Yang Kai's expression became serious. The Genie Guards also separated to the side, and a woman slowly walked over. She wore a black shirt, black pants, and a black waistcoat with golden embroidery. This woman is as beautiful as a painting, but unfortunately, she is blind in one eye, wearing a black eye patch, hiding infinite murderous intent. She was holding a black saber in her hand. The iron door was slashed open by this saber. Li Fan's forehead is covered with cold sweat. This woman's saber technique is a bit too powerful. No wonder even Murong Ying warned me to be careful of this woman. Is there anything that this saber can't cut? Jianghu is too heartless, a saber that breaks the soul. Yang Kai bitterly smiled, I didn't expect that I, Yang Kai, will die in the hands of this heartless saber today. Fine, it's not a loss, it's a worthy death. Fuck, say something lucky. Li Fan is not happy, I think I am blessed and will certainly not die. When he said this, Yu Shi has already walked in front of him. Li Fan looked at the girl in front of him and said, Can you talk to me, big sister, are you mute? I never talk to the dead. Yu Shi finally spoke, her voice is quite pleasant to hear. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.